Hello, everybody! I hope you've been having an exciting night, day, whenever you are deciding to watch this broadcast, especially after the holidays. Obviously, you've all had some opportunities just to be able to eat, relax, and enjoy your day. However, we're bringing it right back with you when it comes to Overwatch. I hope you've been enjoying it because when it comes to Star Esports, we are finally here at the Grand Finals with two major titans, though one a lot smaller comparably. We have Gaia, who have been consistently strong and, well, have some pretty renowned players when it comes to the community. However, we have GeForce on the other side, which also have some very good players. However, they've already lost to Gaia earlier in the series. So it's going to be quite curious to see who's going to be having the opportunity in a first to 7. Which team will announce themselves as the true winners of Star Esports. I'm username underscore Intel, your play-by-play caster here, joined by Mr. Acronator and Refuse on production. How are you doing, Mr. Acre?
Feeling pretty good, right? As you said, both of these teams have made a couple of statements throughout the entirety of this tournament. Gaia having made it all the way here to the grand finals through the upper brackets. GeForce being sent down to the lower bracket in the winners finals against Gaia, right? And then they came back against Bearclaw, I believe it was, and then they won there, sent Bearclaw home, and now they're back for a little bit of revenge. But I mean, it was a close winners finals, but not as close as I think GeForce would have liked. Right, it was a 3-1 as opposed to something like a 3-2, maybe even going to like a map 6 or whatnot. So you have to kind of worry for GeForce here because they do have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. They want to prove that they can stand at the top of tier 3, which, I mean, Gaia has been slowly climbing over the course of these past few months. They got, I believe, top 8 in Open Division last time around. They've been getting a little bit further in a lot of these tier 3 tournaments, and now they're here with a pretty big statement to make that they are ready to hit contenders trials whenever that comes back around and kind of ascend past tier 3, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely terrifying too, especially since we don't know when it's going to happen. So a bunch of these teams are kind of working their hardest in preparation, and most of these teams are by far prepared. So I think when that season comes, we've got a lot to look forward to. But at least when it comes down to this match, I'm absolutely terrified when it comes down to GeForce. I think they have a lot of really good talent who have played in kind of contenders a little bit. But the big problem comes is that they have traditionally been this wrecking ball competition team, and I think that's what they've been working on. And going up against a team that you've already lost, who have been looking so strong and have been adapting around, I think that big problem comes into how are you going to be playing around it? They're basically going into the team that they played like 2 weeks ago or so, and well, with the same strategy but better. I don't see how that can I don't know if they're shooting themselves in the foot anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to argue that GeForce isn't very much known as like that wrecking ball comp team, right? They play it a lot. It's their bread and butter. They can certainly play other things, but it feels like if they have any kind of opportunity, they really just want to stick with that. Whereas Gaia, more recently, I believe I casted their game against Bearclaw in the upper bracket, the winners semifinals, as it were, and Gaia stuck on the wrecking ball for a little bit, but eventually they did start to adjust and adapt, and they adapted really well, right? So it makes me worried a little bit for GeForce if Gaia is the team that can adapt better. We tend to see that is the defining factor in what makes champions in really the more serious level of Overwatch play, right? Think back to like Overwatch League Season 3. A lot of people say the San Francisco Shock won that grand finals against Seoul Dynasty because they were able to adapt better, right? So if this goes similarly to Gaia's previous matches on their way to the grand finals, they still might be the ones to change up their strategies quicker and kind of counter GeForce and just play their own game better, right? So it's hard to say. Of course, coming into this first map, it is going to be Oasis that is predetermined, and then from there, the loser of the previous map will choose the following map and whatnot. There are no map bans, so the winner can't ban a map this time around, but otherwise it's very similar to what we've been seeing thus far in the tournament, right? Where you have you can't play the same map type 2 maps in a row, but otherwise they have this giant pool of maps to choose from and no bans. So there's going to be quite a few to choose from. And Oasis in particular, it is very conducive for most of the rounds to play the wrecking ball. The only one that I can't really see playing the wrecking ball too well would be University, right? It's kind of close quarters. It's very often you'll see the Reinhardt brawls come into play there. So I'm gonna be curious to see what these teams decide to run, especially on University. It's really gonna. I think that's gonna give us a good look at how potentially the rest of the series is gonna go. Right? If they're just gonna try and mirror comp and outplay each other in the Wrecking Ball, where they're comfortable, or maybe one of them is gonna try and change things up and throw a monkey wrench into the other's plans.
I'm not gonna lie, you got my thinking cap on with that. That's something I truly didn't kind of expect, especially since there are no hero bans, as you said. Well, not hero bans, but map bans, which I think by far is what made kind of teams make it or break it throughout the season. I think map picks are very crucial in Overwatch, so seeing the fact that they are going to be going on to kind of whatever they want, this can spell disaster. But you are right. I even think that Oasis as a map is very weak when it comes down to that Wrecking Ball, just for how close quarters every point somewhat is. I mean, obviously, so there is a lot of natural cover, but that's both a double-edged sword, because not only is it a benefit for the Wrecking Ball team to be able to quickly escape and run around, but every time they walk into the team's line of sight, they are walking into it. There is no escape. So Gaia have already shown amazing focus fire, especially with Doom, who has continuously been shining on their team. It could be a big problem, especially moving out forward. Luckily, though, it seems that we are not starting on the map that would cause the biggest problem for them. It's more of just gardens, and I've got to say, I always enjoy this map as kind of the first opportunity.
Yeah, it's this map is probably the middle ground, right? I know that the viewers aren't going to be able to see the compositions of the map screen quite yet. They're stuck looking at our ugly mugs for a few more seconds while the teams get ready. They are currently teasing the Wrecking Balls, but of course, until the gates open, they can change things up. So it's no use speculating quite yet on what they might swap up. Right, on this map in particular, though, the Wrecking Ball is definitely viable. So, as we've seen in the past, as we know of these teams, they do like to run that Wrecking Ball. It's definitely possible here if they choose to do so. As for other compositions, we're actually seeing both teams tease a Zenyatta, and the gates are opening up right now. So, yeah, they're pretty much sticking on this. The only swap I could really see is Haven, swapping over to the Tracer after the Symmetra TP comes out. And a little bit of a scuffle here for the Mega Health Pack.
They want to be able to get that health pack as quick as possible, as it is the main point for the Wrecking Balls. However, it seems Strider getting poked out is going to be immediately giving it up to Gaia. Now the rest of the team of G-Force want to move back, give a little bit more space, as they are at a massive disadvantage. Though that Brig being caught out supply is going to be the first one picked, giving them the confidence to be able to go in and take over that Mega Health Pack room. Though it's not in their favor, they're still being able to pump in that damage. The point is going to be flipped almost, in a sense, until we see the rest of G-Force taking their time, being able to find out the baby diva. Zenyatta closed off IBs, is not going to be able to escape. And look at that, a beautiful way from a scary start.
Yeah, definitely. You saw both teams kind of hunkering around their Zenyatas. That's going to be a commonplace here, at least for this specific kind of composition, because the Zen is such a crucial part of these engagements, right? If you don't have that Discord Orb, if you don't have that extra healing, especially the Transcendence, for a elongated fight, it's going to be very difficult to win these. But really great focus and discipline from G-Force to just take it slow, wait for the right opportunities to present themselves, and then dive in like this.
Look at that, already forcing out both Transcendence as they're stuck in this mid-fight. So it seems Supply is not going to be able to get enough when it comes to just trying to survive. Unfortunately, it is going to cost them, though. Strider gets body blocked. Ult is not going to be able to do much. And combined with the Pulse Bomb onto Young, there is just not much that comes into G-Force's own defense. But you see Magic using this rally, building up that sustain, trying to help let them live and control this point for a little bit longer. But we see Astro using the mine, stopping them from being able to truly contest onto the point until that slam kind of breaks it through. EMP now placing down helps to kind of even the fight up when it comes to G-Force, but they have lost a majority of their team. Not much left besides from the Tracer and Brigida, but we've already seen what's happened to Ultimate, though they are able to continuously bring it out. Astro is doing an amazing job of using those short boop hops to be able to immediately melt down Magic, and unfortunately, as much as they really want to contest it for too long, they are not getting too much out of it, and we are going to be seeing swap over to Gaia.
That's a really late rally for Magic 8 Ball. Actually worked out extremely in their favor because it gave them like, what, 30% extra onto the point. I'm not sure about Pummy's EMP. That one was a little bit hopeful. I think they might have seen an opening that wasn't quite an opening, if you catch my drift. But I mean, at this level, that's kind of what you have to do. Those are the risks that you have to take, and already an EMP coming mid-rotation.
Oh, it's just not what you want, especially those mines. You just don't get as much room off of them as you want. So while the rest of the team's able to stay onto the high ground,
Yep.
we are going to be getting a quick pause. It seems we're having some possible connection issues. Maybe Astro's, wrecking ball button is not working right. They only know so much when it comes to this game. But still,
Oh
wait a
no.
minute. I don't know if the viewers can see that or something, but we just got a DC. And that DC was from a Zenyatta on the side of Gaia with Transcendence.
Yeah, it's not a great way to go. IBTB not going to be on the point for this upcoming engagement, and worth noting that GeForce was not exactly fully disengaged, so there is the potential there to jump back in if they really want to. Like I said, the Zenyatta is an absolutely crucial part of engaging into these fights. You have to hunker around them and make sure they stay alive no matter what. Except in this case, IPTV is going to be coming back from spawn regardless. So, despite losing Magic 8 Ball and whoever else might have just respawned on the side of GeForce, they still have their Zenyatta. As far as I could tell, they still have their Diva on the field. They could certainly try to engage, and it might actually force out a rally from supply on the side of Gaia, which would be unfortunate, I guess, is the best way to put it for Gaia, right? Because that's a lot of sustain that they wanted to save for a different time, especially after pretty handily winning that previous fight, right? They're kind of in the process of winning it still
Yeah.
when the pause came in, but if you're Gaia, you kind of want to save the rally for another time instead of having to save a fight that you should have already won outside of technical issues.
I actually agree to that. I also just feel that transcendence, and the Zenyatta as a character and as a hero being gone from this fight, especially that they are already setting up because as that pause hit, that we already saw supply looking to rotate back onto the high ground, and then we saw Pummy already looking to poke in, try to build up that EMP. So they're already going to be having a lot, especially with Anyhow's own Diva Bomb as an engagement. I think there's a lot of opportunities to be able to just immediately walk in and force out as many resources as possible. I think this is definitely a fight that you're really happy for, not only because that Transcendence is just gone out of the picture, but because the enemy have so many ultimates that if they start panicking, they'll pop everything. Though they do build it fast, I feel in a kind of 28 to 71% percentage wise, I think that's kind of more crucial where you need to be conserving a lot, even in this composition.
Yeah, definitely. Gaia had a great opening to that fight. They won it with just the EMP from what I saw.
Yeah.
And that's really what they want to do. They want to be able to just invest like one ult mid rotation so it catches G-Force off guard. And then from there, just keep cycling through your ultimates. Like I said, they're not going to want to invest everything, but if they have to, they might have to, and they can't give up the point because by the time they get back to recontest, it's basically one fight territory. That's very dangerous for Gaia. They don't want to lose this first round. Of course, there's plenty more maps to come after this, regardless of the outcome. But you really want to make a statement saying like we can take this round, we can take this map, and maybe just win pretty clean 4-0, end it right there. Hard to say, but. Yeah, from what we see in match chat, IBTB had to restart their router, so this might take a few minutes, unfortunately, while we
Oh,
are waiting. The one upside for Gaia, despite losing their Zenyatta to internet issues, is that if you look at GeForce's ultimates, I know you guys can't see it at
yeah,
home,
no.
but they really don't have a lot in terms of ultimates, right? They obviously lost Magic 8 Ball, so they don't have their Brig whatsoever, and that's supposed to be the bodyguard of the Zenyatta, so Lee Young is going to have to be very cautious if they decide to re-engage. And all they really have in terms of ultimates is just Anyhow's Bomb, which I mean, you really don't want to use that right now, especially not by itself. And then on top of that, they're going to have Ultima Weps Pulse Bomb, but I mean, again, that's more of a cooldown. That's not really something you want to just toss out and try and turn a somewhat lost fight. So honestly, might just be like a very soft re-engage from GeForce, waiting for a good opportunity, maybe trying to catch IBTV when he is coming back from the point, seeing what can happen there. Just kind of take things slow. They have plenty of time in terms of control percentage. They're well in advantage in that regard for at least like 2, 3 more fights. So they can kind of take this slower and take their time, wait for a good opportunity to arise, which I mean, this pause is kind of the start of a potential opportunity. So it depends on how they want to approach it. I hope they don't just like rush in and try and like brute force their way through it, because I don't know how that'll work with Gaia's ultimates online.
I definitely have to agree, though. And look at the bright side, at least just being in the series, they get this time when they were intently calming to like sit back, maybe grab a drink, maybe somebody's got to use the bathroom. Who knows what's going on with them? But I think more than anything, as like this first map goes off, and then as we're going into the second, third, blah blah blah, because it's like a best of 7 in a sense. We're gonna be playing all those maps. We get to see who's gonna be that MVP, and this is a big time to truly put in your vote and like see any possibilities. Though I do know people like to kind of vote for their favorite player, get it in. Though I don't believe we are interviewing that person, though we will be shouting out the MVP. After all this, we get to talk to the final team and, the victors and see how that's going to be going off. So it'll be incredibly interesting just to see, out of everyone, who will truly get it. Will it be someone that we've already interviewed, because of the popular player, and I truly respect that? Or will it be someone who's absolutely been popping off and been showing well? At least for me, if I can put in my votes, I think there are two people on each team that I think will get it. Either Strider or Anyhow. And then on the opposite side, either Haven or Supply. Those are my 2 picks on both sides, Mr. Ackley, that I think will get this MVP vote. Because they've been shining throughout the entire season, but I think they are such strong points on each of the teams that have been opening up a lot of fights in the past season, especially as we've been seeing into these fights. Though Doomed, yes, use the EMP. You're doing your job. You're supposed to use the EMP.
Yeah, in terms of like personal MVPs, I think it's way too early in the series. I know some of these players have been popping off all tournament long. I like to take things like that over the course of an individual series, because it's totally possible for someone to have an uncharacteristically incredible game, or an uncharacteristically bad game if they're known to be quite good.
Man, I love tier 3 players. I love them absolutely so much. Just the because chat's not gonna be able to see all of this, but just the energy that they bring in when they're talking to each other, is absolutely looking very funny and such. But seems that we are gonna be having some possible, question marks kind of going in a lot of these players. More than anything, I think the biggest weakness in tier 3, rather than just like own mentals and for some reason people being an active racist at times, I think it's by far their own Wi-Fi. You're not going to get too much when you're just trying to play in this game. But still, at least we get this moment to kind of breathe in. We get to pad everything that we want. Accurate. We can talk about anything we want, while
what do you want to talk about, Intel?
I don't know,
The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, like we could sit here and talk about the stats and how somehow a Brigida has around 15k on the counterpart Supply has around 800. Not even
15k. You mean
wait
1.5k?
Yeah, 1.5k, 1.5.
Okay. We were gonna have a problem if a Brig was doing 15,000 damage now.
I still feel that's like an active possible. Brigida is able to do so much in this game, especially at this level. I could see a Brigida having around 15k damage one day,
Maybe not in this composition though. Maybe in like the old Goats days, right? But not in this composition where she's basically just an overglorified bodyguard for the Zenyatta, right? I can see the Zen getting 15k damage, but probably not the Brig. No one's supposed to get that close to either of them. Yes. I don't know how valid it is to talk about stats when we haven't even gotten an entire round finished. Yeah, we're like half of a round in.
we don't have to worry or talk about stats. So especially with the time kind of in this weird way, I'm more interested with chat kind of, because we could talk about flattering everything and how these players are good, but a lot of the community and their fans are going to be kind of watching this out. So and we can see Twitch chat. Refuse can't stop us from giving them the love, even if we do have this kind of delay into the time so nobody can stream snipe. And I never understood stream sniping on like Overwatch competing. How are you watching the game and yet watching their ult economy? Like, really quickly. I never understood that concept.
Um, it's an old fashioned um method of cheating, I guess. I don't know. It's not so much a problem anymore nowadays, but thinking back to like the early days, like 2016, 2017, it actually was a sizable problem in these kinds of community tournaments because you just have some places that didn't know or didn't think to add a stream delay, right? So it just it's hard to say.
Uh,
I
y- I mean, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, you do get that competitive advantage being able to look at your enemy's team because, I mean, Jeff Kaplan knows how many players do not understand how to ult track or talk over their player who is ult tracking, and or flat out just say they do not have this ultimate, and then the ultimate gets used. You know. I got a lot of pent up feelings that are coming out in this moment as we get this pause. A lot of my anger as an ex player finally getting the chance to truly be able to complain, though their time bank is running out to a large extent. There is only so much they can have until the map has to be disqualified, and well, they kind of have to go down one in the series. Though I feel that could be a big motivator for Gaia. Have you ever had to forfeit a match and then complain? I mean, then you come back in complaining and you're angry and you either start winning or losing.
No, I've only played on like 2.5 teams. In my days, I've been on the back end of the games a lot more often than I have been on the actual field per se. Um, but I have seen teams both crumble and rise from the ashes after a rough pause like this, right? I mean, I've seen it in grand finals too, where teams will have someone with internet issues, deal with a lot of pauses, and just like crumble apart, and then they'll come back and just utterly annihilate the rest of the series. So it's really just going to be on Gaia. Um, let's see. Well, it does look like Gaia is going to have to choose whether they want to play out the 5v6 or just kind of like go to the next map and take the time in between now and the next map. Personally, selfishly, I would like to see them try to play the 5v6, but that's so difficult to do, right? Especially because there's so much more of the
No.
round to play. Like if this was like one round each and we're like in the final fight, maybe try and pull something out of your hat with the 5v6 because I've seen that happen before, ironically on Oasis Gardens, but there's a lot less time in the series for that to happen. It sounds like we might actually be having IBTB, according to Gaia, might be
No.
loading in. I'm not sure. I don't know if he's like online or whatnot. I will only be able to see once he's in the lobby. But fingers
No.
crossed,
I
this gets unscuffed quickly.
If I've learned anything from these players and from these teams, don't ever take them at their word. You know, I barely understand it when they say pause or anything because I never know if they're memeing and then they yell at you when you don't understand when they're like joking or not. So yes, they do have to sit a moment and they have to finally decide: do you want a forfeit or a 5v6? I think you take that 5v6. I mean, yes, Zenyatta's gone. That's still winnable in this composition. That's still winnable. Your Sombra just has to basically do everything, but better. So I could see it theoretically working. However, I would find it really funny to see that selfish kind of idea where Gaia gets spit on and then and then they don't get the opportunity to be able to like actually try to defend themselves. They just lose it out. Either way, as Magic is trying to get refuse to put on a funny monkey gif because monkeys are funny, and I'm not even gonna lie on that. You know,
Yeah, looking briefly at the Discord channels, Gaia does still only have 5 people. I'd imagine if
what a now.
IBTB was actually in and loading into the game, it'd probably be in the Discord channel. So
Could you
unfortunately,
imagine?
uh, yeah, no, unfortunately, Gaia is now being pressed, so they're gonna have to make a decision
Yeah,
within the next couple of seconds to deal with either the 5v6. Okay, it looks like they want to.
yeah, they're gonna take it. Listen, all right.
They want to take it.
They are ready to pump their chest. Though it seems they are going to be having a second to get that decision making. Honestly, I'm just so surprised. I feel like if it was anybody else, maybe, that decision would be an automatic no. You lose a tank, you lose it, you lose a DPS, it's not fun. But a support in this type of composition, it's kind of curious to see the fact that they're even debating on the opportunity, though. I don't see how that works. You ever played Overwatch in a 5v6? That's basically going into a comp game, you know?
Yeah.
You're practically going in instantly losing against someone, and as we see just kind of this spam and such, it's just kind of an interesting moment. Listen, Akron, this is where we get our chance to do our improv finally, all right?
The Juggle God course comes in handy, despite the fact that I never attended one.
Oh, you've
I don't
never
know.
attended the Juggle
A
God
Tundle?
courses?
Really?
The Juggle God, dude. Listen, listen, I'm gonna just give a little promotion because I was told I was allowed to. Juggle God at Twitter, at Juggle God on Twitter, does these caster helps, these little games and such, and they're absolutely great. I did one last time. It was absolutely amazing. And he is a very beautiful man. He has that great beard. I'm trying to grow one out, though. Mine's just lopsided, if you can tell. So, it's not that benefit. I definitely have to say. It's still a weird kind of scenario. You know?
Um, yeah, I honestly didn't have that problem with facial hair because,
Okay.
as you can tell, my hair is like clear, so you couldn't see it until it was full enough to be seen. So
All
I got
right.
lucky with, the random
Just rub
genetics
it in my
and
face.
like no melanin, what's melatonin whatsoever. So, whatever.
Just ego
Um,
me. That's
I'm
okay.
I'm like 7 years older than you. Okay, chill. I had
I
way
mean,
more
fair.
time to
Listen.
grow. When I was your age, I had about the same amount of facial hair. Okay, so
Okay,
it's fine.
I'm 19, and
Yeah, I
listen,
had about the same when I was 19.
I'm 19, and I hang out. I talk to these players sometimes who are it's like built up to a high degree, and I just gotta sit there. I just gotta feel a little bit crazy, and especially the female players or kind of the ones who choose to be kind of in, well, not choose, but the ones who feel the be in between. They are beautiful in this community. There are some like,
You
listen,
don't have to feel insecure until.
I'm not insecure. I just wish my beard and hair grew correctly and not lopsided. It's just an absolute kind of cuckoo scenario that I truly gotta feel, especially during this pause, making sure that everybody is kind of keeping in and making sure that they're staying in tune to this conversation. Maybe they're already tabbed out, not paying attention, just waiting for someone to text them saying the game is back.
Yeah, well, I have briefly been looking at match
Well, you've
chat,
been reading.
and yeah, I've been keeping an eye on it a little bit. We still have Gaia claiming to the high heavens that IBTB is going to be back in just a few moments. I have not. Let me check the Discord chat. They still have five. I don't see
No, they
IBTB. No, unfortunately not. They have support substitutes in
not
their
mid-map.
in their bench, but they can't do it mid map. Like I see. Let's see. That's Catatrix.
No, you're really
I
counting.
Yeah, like I see other support players in their bench VC, but there's nothing they can do there. This tournament doesn't allow mid-map substitutions, so they just have to deal with the 5v6.
They just need to
Unless
forfeit. Just get it out the way, take the L.
I think there was some mention briefly of asking GeForce if they wanted to use their pause time, which we have seen in the past. I've seen plenty of times, especially at this level where the teams really just want like as fair a game as possible, especially in a grand finals. It feels pretty gnarly if you win like that, right? But then again,
Yeah.
it's the first map of the series. Like there's plenty of time. I don't know. This is an impossible situation that I'm glad I have no stake in. I just cover it. We just get to talk about it and how much it must suck to be to have to deal with while not
Listen,
having to.
all I'm saying is you've got a substitute, you've got someone that you can bring in. Just forfeit, just ego them. Just let them have that map win and then completely for them, just like ran them in the face. Don't even give them a chance to win, it's like living your life as a social media manager for this tourney, you're just stuck doing one thing, and that's the only thing you're good
Uh,
at.
are you? trying to flame Dempsey because he's in Twitch chat as well, or is it
No,
just
no,
like,
no. I would
is
never
it?
flame an employee, someone who works, with Refuse and who's been doing a, good job, though they haven't, they can't even get the Twitter things right. It doesn't even make any sense. If I were to check the Twitter right now and see who was casting this match, it wouldn't be me. I'd be a whole different person in a mask right now, and I'm not Dream. That's not what I'm working with today.
I feel the animosity, or the feigned animosity, I should say. It's all fine and dandy because they go back and forth with each other. I guarantee you, Dempsey's gonna find some sort of clip and clap back at Intel at some point over the course of this series. But yeah, looking at things, I think.
It's just a moment where we get to see what they're talking about. Though it looks like that we are getting a bit more of a lesson when it comes to consent and about
I wasn't gonna mention it, but okay. Okay, we
listen.
do
I
have.
think it is of an important thing to mention because this is a possibility, and especially because we're seeing Catrix actually joining the match, we may end up seeing just an actual 66 to finally get this over with because they were delaying this for so long. They just wanted a decision.
Well, Catatrix, it does appear that they're going to be subbing Catatrix in. He is a main support also. So I'm going to be interested to see. I know in like long time past, like year and a half, almost 2 years ago,
Yeah.
right? Catatrix had some experience with the flex support. I don't know how much he has at this level. I've really only seen him play that Lucio, that Brigitte, a little bit of the Mercy at this level, right?
Yeah.
So there is some concern there, right? Because those two roles are rather different, but at the same time, still support. It's not like they're subbing Catatrix in for DPS, so
Yeah.
fingers crossed it works.
Yeah, look on the bright side, though. Magic Ball's doing our job, going inside Twitch chat. Thank you so much. But this is where the fight truly starts to pick in. We know this is what you've been waiting for. As already, this is back into a slow poke, and unfortunately, we do see Catatrix immediately getting picked off. Supply is using that rally to try to sustain and hold this fight up for as long as possible, and it seemed anyhow was being body blocked for a small bit. Pulse Bomb able to land into the backline, going to be throwing out that bomb, trying to make any form of difference. It's an even trade, however, going into the favor of Gaia, even at a 5v6. Still, though, they have to move back to the point as it gets recaptured and flipped. Young going back in with their own bomb. The Hack going on to Field Immortality, being able to keep them up for a little bit longer, while Anyhow is struggling to be able to stay up. Mines from Astro in an amazing spot. Nobody can truly touch this point, though we see that slam from Strider being able to take out the vast majority of them. That point is still in a concern to be flipped. They aren't really going to be able to do much as we see them more try to fight for that time bank rather than being able to win it out. And with Astro booping off Strider, who was hacked, there's not much that they can do. Even the own supports in Sombra, who are just trying to be able to build up that ult economy, are stuck inside the small corridor waiting for the rest of their team to return.
Yeah, that got really scrappy, and I gotta give a lot of credit to Astronexus and Haven and Doomed for doing a ridiculous amount of work in stabilizing that point, even losing Catatrix to the spawn camp, right? It does make sense that Cata is now on the
Yep, look at that! Well. Two EMPs matched together, but only one truly going to be able to land. Pulse Bomb being in from Haven, shutting it down absolutely quickly. That could have been their chance, but with only the D.Va and Tracer being able to stall on to this point, there's not much left that you're being able to hold on to yourself. It's a little bit unfortunate, as we're going to be seeing this point now switch. And Supply is actually onto this Baptiste, which is something we did not point out.
Yeah, definitely. It fits a lot better with Catatrix's hero pool, right? I don't blame them for not playing the Zenyatta. Like I said, there's going to be some concerns, but Gaia's going to have that recontest. But they don't have a ton of ultimates. They're going to build up to their tank ults, but it's going to take a little while, and losing Astronexus so early is not a great start to this.
Haven also gets hacked, though Strider does end up getting traded, meaning that they aren't going to be having that Wrecking Ball to engage. This is a fight of pure ult economy, and Supply being gone, that Pulse Bomb dropping down is not going to be a big benefit for their side, though they're being able to find out Anyhow's mech. That track almost goes on to Haven, managing to just barely escape before they manage to die out, playing behind his pillar, waiting for the Wrecking Ball to return. Doom able to manage to just take out ult while Young uses the Transcendence, allowing the team to be able to push forward, laying down that aggression, placing the mines in between them in an uncomfortable setting. Doom wanting to use this High Noon isn't able to get it out. EMP lands on two of the most fastest characters in the game, while we see these bombs just looking to do the best that they can. However, it just seems Catatrix's own rally is going to keep them up, combined with the damage that they were able to put into 3 of G4 GeForce's own players, there's just not much that you can do. We see Ultimate just trying to do their best when it comes to stalling this map, but immediately getting taken out by Doom. It's just not something that you want to be kind of more in favor of, especially with Strider coming back to the point, being booped, almost falling off the map, but then immediately getting melted down, not even going to be able to land off. It seems letting Catastrix come into the map was a big regret, as even with this rally from Magic Ball looking to just help them out as much as they can, these boops have been absolutely intense, and with one last whip shot, they shut you down, stopping any room from bringing this back.
It got a little bit dicey there. Right when the unpause happened, obviously, and the fights just kept coming left and right afterwards. But I think Gaia did an incredible job of stabilizing. They did a great job. Like, Supply swapping over to the Baptiste just to allow Catatrix over to the to the Brigitte, right? And then you had Supply swapping over to Lucio. Like, the double main support is very awkward at times because it does not have a lot of utility compared to like a flex support outside of like Moira, but that's not really an option here, right? So finally stabilizing onto a more reasonable double main support like the Brigitte Baptiste that you see oftentimes in like bunker compositions. This actually works pretty well, but Gaia are gonna have to play a little bit slower just because of that. They don't have the ungodly amount of burst damage, which might be the reason why Doom's on the Cassidy, just to get a little bit more of that burst damage in there.
It also just works to play a little bit more defensive, be able to peel in for your backline, especially with Strider already preparing on top of this small cathedral, I guess if you can call it, looking to take that dive in. They are looking to just kind of play around while the rest of Gaia aren't. To the backside, they are trying to deny as much damage as possible, but with this point uncapped, they have to make these engagements. Strider going in, that hack going to be able to hit out Astro, though the Immortality able to be perfectly safe in a scenario. Haven is not going to be getting that opportunity. They also get off the point for a little bit too long, not going to be able to secure this. Though that window built incredibly fast, even for a composition like that, it's very impressive. Though it's not when Doom immediately gets picked off and Supply is forced 1v1ing this Tracer, not going to be able to focus the heals onto the rest of the team. So we eventually see Supply getting picked off, the Diva demeched, and the Wrecking Ball looking to escape and come up with a new idea.
Yeah, it's I don't blame the window as a decent idea, but they gotta watch their flanks, right? Allowing Li Muyang to just go around and get a volley into Doom's face was not the best option for Gaia there. They probably should have bunkered up a little bit more and just allowed their Wrecking Ball and their Tracer to go in and contest. Astronex is falling really early, even before the fight broke out. That's gonna cost them even more time, so it feels like Gaia haven't quite found their rhythm now that the adrenaline is worn off from Gardens.
Yeah, they do have this rally to be able to protect themselves. However, going up against Pummy's own EMP, it's going to be a big problem. Your Diva sitting on that point, trying to defend you as much as possible, but they're the ones who's going to get focus fired on. Doom is able to trade out onto Buppy while we see the mines being placed into the middle center. Though that Transcendence has to be used to be able to survive, it seems that they have a good, strong hold. Gaia really going to have to just kind of make up some new ideas if they want to break through.
Honestly, I wouldn't even blame Gaia for swapping off of the Wrecking Ball comp because this slower style is not working well against the variants that GeForce is playing. And in all honesty, like I said before, these supports are normally for like slower brawls or even bunker compositions.
Yeah.
And earlier in this tournament, even we saw Gaia swap off of the Wrecking Ball comp onto something like an Orisa Diva composition with more or less this setup, so maybe it'll work, but we really have to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't know how much you think that's gonna work. That shield just barely able to protect them, but the rest of the team now to move in if at all possible, because the mines at least splits them up, but still they are walking into a danger zone, especially with Magic's own rally being able to help poke out. Supply's not going to be able to live, and now the collapse is starting to focus down. Doom's going to be able to try to demech this and just shoving it in your face. That's what I call a comeback if I've ever seen one, coming out from GeForce.
Yeah, I think they maybe felt a little bit of vindication for that round, right? But coming into University, this is the map we said, or the sub-map rather, the round of Oasis that is not very good for Wrecking Ball. You know, I highly doubt that we're gonna see Astronexus and Strider stick on it. I would expect to see something like a Winston or a Reinhardt. They're sticking on it right now, but they have time to swap off. And the compositions that they're teasing are
No,
rather good for the Reinhardt in particular,
incorrect.
but they could also just be teasing us
Ratio.
and gonna stay. That's Dempsey's job. Either way, we do actually have supply teasing these Zenyatta, and they're gonna stick on it. Actually, stick on the Wrecking Ball even as well. So gonna be interesting to see how supply can fill that flex support position, right? Doomed and Ultima Web on those Echoes, a hero that we haven't seen thus far, but a lot of potential for just insane amounts of burst damage.
I need a button that says I'm right, because look at that, I'm right. Already being able to move out, it seems that the rest of Gaia are more wanting to play inside of the corridors in these close quarter combats, forcing them in. However, immediately being caught out, there is no slam, and ult's already dangerously low, but it seems that Astro's the one who's going to be picked off first. They are able to immediately burst away Pummy, but they really don't have much control on this point for the side of Gaia. As much as Doom wants to be able to poke in and try to find any damage out, Supply is struggling to help put in those discords. Eventually losing in that DPS, it's basically a given sign that you're not really going to be able to do anything. They're already retreating.
Yeah, Gaia is just playing way slower than GeForce, and this kind of play fast. So GeForce has the inherent advantage here just by pure tempo, if nothing else. And you can see just how helpless it feels like Gaia is. They're just not finding any footing, especially with Pummy having the MP. Yep,
But look at that! So you talked about the EMP, and they are showing up, able to immediately take out both supports. Young still is forced to be able to use that Transcendence in fear of just getting one clipped, especially by Haven's own Pulse Bomb. However, they immediately win this fight out, looking for any type of staggers that they can. Well, it seems the Baby D.Va is going to be more than enough to fill them with kind of a good belly rub.
Yeah, tried to get a little bit of a stagger there on the Haven, but it's kind of hard to chase down a Tracer, right? You have Astronexus going far into the backline. Actually, Pummy now far into Gaia's backline, just trying to charge up the MP. Wasn't really expecting to get a kill there. That's why they were poking at Fidelum. Oh, but that's a good opening right there, because GeForce doesn't really have an answer.
Yeah, look at that's a massive opening. We are immediately seeing Haven and ult being traded out on equal sides. Though that bomb makes some space, we are not seeing any control coming in for the side of Gaia. The mines are placed well. That Transcendence gets used midway, but it seems that they really are just kind of stuck. Though inside this small room, it seems Astro's going to be getting a lot more value, though immediately broken due to the slam. Doom is on to the Brigitte, being able to fight out when it comes to that D.Va. They pop the EMP, and they're managing to fight out not only Catatrix, but when it comes to the baby D.Va. So, well, no, just a full D.Va who's about to become a baby, because Haven doesn't really have that bond to be able to protect you anymore. 1v1ing that Zenyatta inside the backline. We already see ult using that Pulse Bomb, looking to fight this out, as Haven's just not going to be able to get too much done. Placing it down, nobody's really going to be able to touch that point, though they still have the overtime scenario. They don't really have much when it comes down to it, especially with Strider moving in, getting this focus fire with the help from the D.Va ult. That lasted so long, my goodness. And being able to just immediately melt down the baby, well, there's not much left for you. Even if this Tracer wants to be able to touch, I guess it's just a stunned world. As we see GeForce, maybe because of the DC, maybe because of not, bringing in the victory for Oasis, taking the lead and showing up when it comes to this series.
I definitely think the DC helped GeForce there, but at the same time, they just played really well, right? They played super fast tempo, but they also played it clean, right? Because there's a lot of times where we'll see teams try and play this Wrecking Ball comp, and they just kind of run into a wall, right? Because they're trying to play too fast and make too many mistakes, and it just isn't very pretty. We do have a bit of a meme in match chat right now. A guy asking if they can get a ringer. Someone asked who, and they said Pascal, aka the Contenders flex supports, who is actually a Contenders champion. So obviously that one's not going to happen. It'd be funny, but probably not the fairest of fair scenarios. No, it seems like Gaia is going to have to find something else. They do technically have two supports in, but as we saw, I think putting two main supports who don't necessarily have the best repertoire in the flex support category, it's not a recipe for success in this case, right? Unless they try to change things up. I think the Baptiste Brig actually worked rather well, but they seem to be rather determined to stick onto that Wrecking Ball composition, and those supports aren't necessarily the best for Wrecking Ball, as we saw, because they got 100-0 when they tried to play it. So it's looking a little bit grim for Gaia, but I mean, there's at least 3 more maps. If GeForce just like sweeps the series, Gaia has plenty of time to do something about it.
You know, that's a really good point. And I feel this is also just one of the worst scenarios, at least, just to be able to have a ringer in. I think you really need that team synergy to help you more. Because, well, I think Gaia, as much as they can run those compositions, unless they have the full team and people who are comfortable with working with each other, well, I don't think there's much kind of unity in kind of the ability to do what you want to in this game. Overwatch is all about working as a unit, being able to play together and focus fire. So without that, it's a big problem. So we get a moment for, we get to see GeForce being able to have this moment to pick a map, figure out what they want to do. I really think they don't have too much to worry about. I think, at least for confidence wise, they are leading the series. They're going to be having high momentum. They don't have a ringer, so they're at least working as a full unit. And yes, they did technically lose that first point, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because it was a very long pause. A ringer just comes in, your focus isn't really going to be there, but they immediately bring it back and they start working as a unit.
Dear, I just noticed stream actually caught the match chat when Pascal was asked for, so they'll actually know what I'm talking about and the response to it, which is funny. Either way,
it
sounds like they might be getting Excellence in. Potentially, who I have seen. I believe they're on Gaia. I don't know. All these tier 3 players and teams kind of meld together in my head at this point. But
I just wish there was a streamlined team and then those players stuck inside that org, instead of the org being really bad and the players leave to go form their own org, which happens very commonly, Acri.
Yeah, well, that's tier 3 Overwatch for you. It's extremely difficult unless you follow it. Yep, it is worth noting that, again, we don't have any map bans. So GeForce don't ban anything, and Gaia can choose any map aside from another control at this moment in time. So there is quite a lot of options for them, right? They can certainly try and counter pick against what GeForce might want. But okay, it looks like they're taking Catatrix out, so supply is going to stay in. And I believe they're bringing in Excellent.
Well, they're gonna have to do something. There is only so much that they can do, especially with kind of the map opportunity. Apparently, these players weren't prefaced or really reading the rules coming in just for this opportunity of who they're gonna be playing, or really what they're gonna be playing. I'm more interested to see what opportunity of the map pool. So it's basically the same rules besides from the map ban, meaning that they can go to anything in our pool from Blizzard World, Gibraltar, Rialto, Temple of Anubis, a lot of rooms, but they cannot go back to a control until the next map. Meaning that there's a lot of room, and I think Gaia, when you're working, maybe you don't try to play that wrecking ball competition. Though I feel this is really what they're relying on. I think they can definitely beat GeForce at their own game, even though GeForce wasn't technically popularizing it. We do see Pink actually come in, not a player that I'm at least too familiar on, so I'll be giving them a lot of love and praise when they start showing up. But I feel the map that we really need to be looking onto is kind of more of those 2CP type areas. I think that and Escort, so maybe something like Temple of Anubis and Rialto are the kind of maps that we may see while we wait for both of the teams to try to decide, what are we going to do?
Yeah, definitely. And just taking a brief gander at Pink's profile, they are a flex support player. They have a lot of time on the Baptiste, the Zenyatta, the Ana, right? So it's the correct role. So at the very least, there is that, right? So there's going to be a lot of comfort there as to whether they're, comfortable playing with Gaia, if they're a substitute that gets a lot of play time or whatnot, or if they're just an emergency ringer. I'm not really sure. But at least they're a flex support. So that's a start, right? That's something better than what Gaia had for the last 2 rounds of Oasis, which obviously didn't go very well for them. 200-0, I believe, just about. I don't believe we have a map pick yet. The match chat sometimes moves so quickly. No map pick quite yet.
No, these players...
So we're just waiting on that. I'm sure Gaia is going through intense discussions right now, just kind of calming down. It's okay. First map is a wash anyways. It's just a warm up. It's just a warm up scrim. From here on out, we're gonna do perfectly fine, right? You just gotta psych down your players, calm them down, and get their composure back up, because that's definitely something they seem to be lacking, especially in that last map, that last round of Oasis. It felt like they were just chickens with their heads cut off, right? They just didn't have any opportunities to engage. When they did, it didn't feel fast enough or cohesive enough to really make any kind of difference.
No, fair enough. And also, I feel what I have in common with tier 3 players is just the lack of ability to read as they continue to not give a map choice out. They're making us suffer. They are listening to us and they are planning it.
Blizzard World.
I mean, Gaia's not the one who picks it, so Doom's the one who said it. So we don't even get Blizzard World because they can't pick it. So that's the enemy side. This is GeForce's. Wait, is it?
No, GeForce won Oasis, so Gaia does actually choose.
I've been here so long. I've been trapped in this matrix.
We've been here for 50 minutes.
Have we?
We've only gotten through. Yeah, it's 8:50 right now for me, at least, East Coast and whatnot. But yeah, 50 minutes, and we've gotten through one map.
Man, so, I've gotta say, maybe it's just the fact that my hair is pushed to the back of my head, so the blood pressure is kind of lessening in the longer that I have it like this, because my hair's a mess. So, hey, we've got a map! Yay! I can clap my hands in full happiness because Blizzard World was not something that I truly expected to see today. Though it is a really good map for a Wrecking Ball and a really good full hold type of map.
Definitely. It's one of those maps that you can see a hold on basically any point, although first and third points are more common than second points. There are plenty of opportunities to hold on all 3 points, though. There's certain areas where just the defense has such a disgusting spawn advantage that it takes a certain amount of coordination, je ne sais quoi, if you will, to like push it through, right? Which, I mean, these teams have in spades. It's just a matter of can they keep their composure. Unsurprisingly, GeForce opting to pick the defense first. Oftentimes teams that win the previous map will like to choose that, just to, you know, if they have the opportunity to hold and then push a lot less far than they would have had to otherwise, you take those. You know, you've already been here for 50 minutes and you're only up one map if you're GeForce, so maybe, you know, try and make this map a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I think it just builds that security, you know, if you know what your win condition is, I think you have a lot less to worry about, rather than, you know, going in on attack, getting full held, and then you have to try to full hold against it. I think that's a lot more stressful than anything. I think it's just much better to hold, they push it to 3, and then you push in, getting full held. You know, it's just what hurts. Yeah. Though, Mr. Ackery, look at these teams already teasing out a possible opportunity. It seems that they are more comfortable with their own bread and butter. Flexibility, never heard of it. Wrecking Ball, always seen it.
Return to hamster, I guess.
Hey, it's much better than double shield, all right, in any room.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Absolutely, but Gaia, of course, on the offense, has the potential to swap. I know you all can't see it, but GeForce is running out with basically the same thing they ran all of Oasis. They got the Sombra, the Tracer, the Brig, the Zen, and then the tank's the exact same. You do have Haven teasing a quick Widow shot here, so expect a jump shot and then probably swap off to something like a Cassidy or Hanzo, maybe even, or maybe just sticking on the Widow for now. Yeah, it looks like they want to jump over back to spawn, so yeah, Haven I wouldn't expect to see stay on this Widowmaker, but everyone else is sticking with it. They're already pushing forward. Pummy already in the backline, getting ready to tease Pink, but not quite there yet. But Pink does have the Discord Orb on, so the attack comes in and he melts!
What a nice job, Mr. Anchory, taking the reels and leaving us for the drive as Pink, it just seems it's going to be crashing in, not taking in their license, and not a good show for the start. We're already seeing them having difficulties being able to break through. They are spending a lot of time and resources just slowly rotating, though they do manage to get 2 inside the backlines. We already see, look at that, Magic Ball's going to be forcing out the Tracer. They poke out ultimate, and well, there's not really much that Haven is going to be able to do. Now struggling just to find any room, especially for them to be able to push in. They're at least getting a couple ticks on to this point, looking for these baits, but this is where Strider, feeling that confidence, goes in, gets hacked, and then remembers why you don't play against the Sombra. Young is able to trade in when at least it comes down. There isn't going to be a tick opportunity as the Diva's doing an amazing job of being able just to continuously touch, though getting off for just a split second is going to cost them more than just that tick, as we see the rest of GeForce losing control over this point until Strider's able to come back and help kind of build that confidence, though they eventually do get off for that second, lose that tick, and that second tick immediately coming in very quickly. They're now looking to boop. They eventually manage to find out Haven and get this Transcendence, and seems to be the condition that they've been waiting for, especially that hack onto Astro. Not much that you have besides from those 2 ticks, but I've got to say, at least you get that benefit.
I mean, that was effectively what, like, first fight? They had like maybe half a fight prior, you know, from Gaia, but otherwise that was the first legitimate fight. And we're already down to 2 minutes. I look at GeForce's ultimates, like they are sitting pretty right now. The onus is on Gaia to jump in and actually make something of this. And while they did get 2 ticks, that was more discipline from GeForce than anything else, right? So coming into this, I'd expect to see from Gaia like an EMP and maybe wait for Astro to build up the mines and then just kind of do something from there. I'm not sure what you
be doing as immediately they just go and pop the EMP. Didn't even get that boop supply. My goodness, that's a little bit rude. It seems that that push managed to trade in as Pink uses that Transcendence from before. Gets a lot of room with it. Though Strider at least has these mines out, meaning they are not going to be able to get as much room as they want, especially with the hack going on to Asher. Strider still gets picked out, meaning that they have genuinely are going to struggle when it comes to saving this fight, especially look at that Haven being able to get the pulse bomb onto Magic Ball. Nothing you could do. Can't believe I've ever seen a good EMP fail like that.
Yeah, there was... How to even put it? Pommy had a great EMP, but there wasn't really follow-up. Strider came in with a pile drive, but you need more than that, right? That alone isn't gonna do the finishing blow. You needed Anyhow to get in there, but I believe Anyhow was also hacked up by Doomed. You had Magic Mateball, who just wasn't able to really get in there, so it was just probably a little bit of a miscommunication. You have Doomed with an EMP, but again, I worry about the follow-up.
Yeah, but look at that, the counter EMP going to Pink and Supply, trying to just quickly end this fight as they've lost their own young. It just seems to be more than enough. They feel that confidence, immediately diving back in, getting the hack onto field. Well, they're just stuck playing behind this natural cover, throwing in this bomb, a little bit more of a kind of Leroy Jenkins moment, especially because Anyhow has their own bomb to protect them, though unfortunately it's just not enough. They immediately get melted down, not even getting the remat kill. Magic Ball following close after. So they lose this momentum the more they start to bring it in. Even if Supply has gone down, they have no room to be able to push back in.
Yeah, you have a lot of harassment coming in from literally every possible angle from GeForce, but I feel that's also coming back to bite them in the butt a little bit because there's not a lot of focused fire. Although forcing out Pink's Transcendence is a good start, the damage does need to come in after that breaks down, and it feels like GeForce are all kind of shooting at different targets, so it's creating a lot of chaos, and they are mechanically gifted players. They are taking advantage of it from time to time, but I don't know if that's really going to help them when Gaia seems to be finding their feet, finally.
Yeah, they're just looking around and they're feeling great. Supply is using that rally, being able to feel perfectly fine, but look at that, they lose out Doom. They're not going to be having that Sombra to be able to put down onto Strider, and it seems that Ult wants to make sure that nobody's going to be touching Strider's own hands, as Haven's going to be following closely after the D-Mech onto the Baby Diva, now stuck inside the backline. Not even going to be killed, but they are pushing the point, thankfully, though. Thankfully, Strider comes back and says, wait a second.
Yeah, well, Strider was watching Fidel and the entire time, but it was a little bit funny with the prospect of a really awkward C9. You do have Strider going way into the backline, all the way to first attacker's spawn, waiting for a good opportunity to use the minefield, I'm assuming, waiting for them to push through that choke point, probably. Yeah, you already have the setup. And I mean, okay, well, they weren't expecting the entire cavalry to be in this tiny room, and Strider doesn't get
That's a punishment. Always expect the unexpected. Poor Strider probably having a heart attack, voice cracking, and now, well, gonna have to be coming back. This is giving more room for Gaia just to have the ability to kind of predict or really take the engagement as they want, immediately moving in. They may be lacking on ult, and Pink is getting the one with the Discord. However, they are going to go in. That EMP is going to land. Doom built it up, but not going to be able to pop it because they're gone. Luckily, we do see Young using this Transcendence, meaning that Gaia have a lot more resources to kind of go in next without worrying about the rest of them, though, stuck inside this room. Pink wants to be able to bring it back, but the rally is combined, going up against it. Trans versus Rally. Rally always wins as they're being able to build the sustain, pop the mines inside. Now you have to leave your little cubby house, and Astro is going to be hacked, so not even going to be having that room to be able to protect themselves. They are possibly not going to be able to touch. No, Haven's going to be able to get it just quick enough. Strider is going to come back, be able to stall for it. Haven immediately blinking around, but they are at a big disadvantage. Though finding out Bull is going to be a big benefit, they managed to hack. Doom isn't going to be doing much. The bomb goes out, goes far, managing to find out Young is very good. Remix immediately down that bomb a little bit too far as we see the EMP managing to find out 4, but still there is not many when it comes to the side of GeForce. Now the counter mines coming in from Astro onto the point. They have to touch if they wanted to stop moving, but they are struggling to do so, though those mine slam are going to be able to break it down. Ultimate coming in with the clutch, being able to find out 2 picks. Place down the pulse bomb is barely going to be able to miss it out while the rest of the team is looking. There are only 4 people, and the Doomfist comes in, immediately gets stunned and hacked. Not going to be able to do much. Though we see Haven being able to just to kind of blink around. It just seems this is Gaia's end. Not going to be able to get those picks and not going to be able to save it. Was really close, around 276 or so. But either way, this is still more than enough room for GeForce to be able to bring it home.
Yeah, definitely. There's absolutely the potential for Gaia to hold this, but it's gonna be difficult, to say the least. Towards the latter half of second point, Gaia started to get their attack together, right? But eventually the spawn advantage from GeForce just really overwhelmed them, and they couldn't push it any further. Good push, though. The fact that they got first point was more than it was looking like it was going to be towards the end of that first push, right? I wouldn't expect any major changes in terms of team compositions here. Why change anything up if you're either team, right? They seem to be working reasonably well. More so in favor of GeForce, but, you know, Gaia's looking comfortable. They're starting to find their footing a little bit more, like we already said, so I don't know. It's just going to be on GeForce to continue doing what they're doing. They're taking really good engagements. They're setting the tempo of these fights. They got a little bit sloppy towards the first half of the second point defense, but at the same time, they brought it back once they had the spawn advantage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, can you really blame them, right? That you're going to have you're going to have these kinds of simple mistakes. The big difference here between champions and runners-up are how well they can bring it back, and GeForce brought it back. You know, they second held, so that's a good start coming into this, and no real changes. They're probably just gonna take a quick rotation, look to get onto the points, and go from there.
Feel a little bad for Pink, not going to be able to get any MVP votes either as a sub. So at least everybody else, while this kind of big poke phase is coming in, they can go down and vote for who they think is kind of the MVP if you just feel that confident this early in the season. Though it seems to not be Strider. Strider immediately gets hacked, picked off by Astro, and it's just not looking too good anymore, you know, feeling a little bit that they do want to more weight. However, Strider, there's a lot of resource that has to go in just to be able to let Strider come back in and set them up, especially because Doomed is immediately looking in for this hack. They managed to find out Pummy. That's even worse. Now you don't have a Sombra who's going to be able to hack and look for that ult charge, so Doom's going to be able to start going up ahead and winning in that fight. Though these Wrecking Balls are going one-on-one, Doom eventually gets traded, making this fight a bit more even and a bit more satisfying to be going up against. It's very much kind of a mixed Looney Tunes bin, as they're both looking for these opportunities to find anyone out, though being inside of this small tiny pub is not looking good for GeForce. Well, more of Gaia, as they are just stuck, caught out in the enemy side, though they are being able to peel in and Field is being able to protect them. Haven eventually is going to be picked out. That is 2 ticks, a very good moment. They have to touch, using the Transcendence just to be able to bring themselves back, but it gets countered out, and now you're getting Ego Trans. What are you going to be able to do against that, Pink? Especially because now you're being focused down. They're incredibly rude, trying to just pick you, the new person, into the game, and it seems, no, the EMP from Doom gets canceled out by Pummy. They hit it one too fast, and that's what I call timing. If there's a tier 2 difference, I'm pretty sure that's what it makes. Especially with Haven falling down, that's what I call a successful capture.
It's all going horribly wrong. Gaia is just taking too long to make these engagements, right? You had GeForce sitting on point. They were poking, sure, but I mean, you gotta engage. The faster you move, the less time you're gonna give for GeForce to actually poke. And Gaia's just not doing that. They're sitting there, they're waiting for the right opportunity to present, or I shouldn't even say the right opportunity, they're waiting for the perfect opportunity. And those are situations that you have to create yourself, especially at this level of play. You want to hit contenders trials even, you gotta act faster than that. You gotta play your win conditions and actually create your win conditions. You can't wait for it to be served up to you on a silver platter.
I mean, but look at that. Strider is able to immediately
Oh,
make a 5-core Shratatouille special, being able to find out Doom. Though we do see Field wanting to throw that bomb in to make any type of discourse, it basically just allows for remake. You've still lost Pink in the moment, almost being able to boop off Strider, but you're still basically not going to be able to move that payload any further, as Pummy is basically living in your head
oh,
rent-free, being able
wait.
to move it, and you're stuck in the enemy's own backline, trying to die, but it's like they're not killing you. But hey, you got
Oh,
Transcendence out, so at least
oh
that's
no.
the benefit of the fight. That's something you don't have to look down on.
No, but Pummy has EMP once again, and Pink is not even close to the Transcendence. So this could get very messy extremely fast for Gaia, and they don't have very much space to work with left. I mean, they're gonna have the spawn advantage, but is that really gonna matter when you have so many resources? You have EMP bomb, mines, everything in terms of G-Force, everything they need to win. This could be the end of this map, and G-Force potentially going up 2-0.
Look at that goofy movie type of moment, as that EMP really isn't going to be getting too much. They end up losing Young inside kind of the midway and eventually anyhow. So not much to that push. It seemed it had good momentum, but a really bad start when it came to kind of executing it out.
Yeah, Gaia did eventually restabilize, probably in large part due to that spawn advantage. But I mean, they had good target focus when they came back, and now they're actually starting to have some resources. Right now, they're basically going to have 5 ultimates into this upcoming fight, so you're going to have either a solid usage of less resources to get more value from G-Force, or just take a dry fight, which, I mean, they have the time to take a dry fight, so why not? You know, just pressure Pink, get that Transcendence out of the way faster, and then use the minefield, because then they can't use the Transcendence to clear it. And in the meantime, G-Force is going to build up to things like the MP, the Rally, the Transcendence themselves. Or you could just send Ultima the back-gap. That works too.
Yep, alright, big man. They are immediately looking for it. The mines are placed kind of on the high ground, though that EMP is sort of counteracting a tiny bit of it. It's able to go focus more onto the backline. That Transcendence gets used. They're being able to move in, but it still seems that they are struggling to find many. Pummy's the only one that they managed to trade out on, which is still a good bright side, but it's not really what you're looking for. Though supplies being able to bring it in on demand, as Magic Ball is going to be falling out immediately in the fight, combining with Ultimate. Still more of a struggle. Pummy's coming close to that EMP, but that's basically going to be a next fight type of Ultimate.
Yeah, definitely. You're having some pretty bad staggers here on Talimu Young, and anyhow, yeah, so they're really only going to have one more fight. So despite having a sizable ultimate bank to work with, Gaia still has a good amount of ultimates. They were very patient in that previous engagement, and that might come back to save them this map. They have both tank ultimates, they have Pulse Bomb, as long as it doesn't get eaten by anyhow. They certainly have ways to deal with what G-Force does, so I can't say who has the advantage in this upcoming fight. It's really going to depend on how they approach it. I like the bomb.
Oh, I like the bomb too!
Wow.
Forces out Young's own Transcendence due to the slam, though that EMP manages to find out 5! This is not going to be looking good, though they aren't really finding anyone immediately after the EMP's residue has just eventually faded off. This is now in one last fight territory. Doomed is already incredibly low. The ult is going to be falling down with that pulse bomb inside their back pocket.
Pink.
The rest of G-Force now needing to move in. That bomb being thrown out far. They managed to get the shielding, but it seems that Pink isn't going to be able to get that shield fast enough. Decent trade, but Pummy's hack being able to get that DM seems to be fine and eventually melted down. They're touching this point. They're feeling fine. Into that willingly. We see Magic Ball looking to try to survive for as long as possible as Ultimate comes back, places the Pulse Bomb. Strider, though, gets the boot, forces them into the back line, though they still have 3 on this point. Transcendence going to be giving them a lot more time for the rest of the team to be able to come back in. However, this is now a 6v3 going into a 4 as we see Doomed walk in, manages to get back when it comes to that 4-5-man EMP. However, Young's own Transcendence is basically to secure that no one else can kill, although they already had finished everybody up. G-Force, they may have taken that win, but that was not anything when it comes to kind of dominant. It's getting closer and closer, folks.
Yeah, I think Pink is starting to adapt to being put into this roster little by little, because there were some moments there, especially towards the end, where we got to see a bloodthirsty Zenyatta, and I can't say we saw that even in the first round of Blizzard World, right? So Gaia's slowly working their way up. As long as they don't allow themselves to get mentally boomed, they have a chance. I mean, they have at least 2 more maps to to bring it in. Uh, yeah, not much more to say. I mean, tough loss for Gaia, but like they have time to bring it back. They looked better. Just go from there. You know, GG go next. There's not much more to say. A little bit of complaining about all the Brigitte love in the match
There's
cards.
no Brigitte love. Brigitte is a terrible
Sarcastic
hero.
love, you
No, Brigitte is
know.
don't even sarcastic to Brigitte. Brigitte deserves no love and no praise when it comes to this casting booth. All right.
Oh
Listen, I've
dear.
got my hatred and I will express it to great extents. Though I will at least give a lot of love to Gaia. I definitely feel Supply was doing an amazing job trying to peel in for Pink as much as possible, but I can't really put my finger on it that made kind of the big difference. Maybe it was the fact that Pumpy is building these EMPs a lot faster and ended up kind of having the last second one that forced Gaia to kind of back out, not really able to move in. Or maybe it was just the fact that Gaia weren't kind of able to clutch it out in those last moments. I feel there was a lot more issues to kind of point in to see who and why somebody won that fight.
Yeah, definitely. I think ultimately, in lieu of pointing out like any individual mistakes, I think it's just easier to say that GeForce had really good target focus and they
Alright.
had the momentum, right? Gaia were bleeding in, they were tossing in the ultimates left and right, but it just wasn't enough. GeForce had the focus necessary to get through that, right? And they gave themselves the time bank to be able to do that, right? It got a little bit hairy, but oh well, right? So of course you do have Gaia choosing the next map, which obviously they chose Blizzard World. No one chose Oasis. That was just default chosen by Refused. But I mean, what do you choose now? You obviously can't choose another hybrid map for the time being, and GeForce at the very least can't ban uh, any maps. It looks like Anubis is the next call for the map from Supply of Gaia. So 2 CP.
I had to take my glasses off when, I read and then heard you say Temple of Anubis, because if I don't have my glasses on, I'm not going to hear you properly. The vision's blurry, as I'd like to say. Though that doesn't work in the way you think, I promise it does. Temple of Anubis is not a map that I think Wrecking Ball works. I've never felt that this has been a good composition. Yes, on the defense, quite possibly, but it is a big problem, especially moving further. Though on the bright side, GeForce in themselves seem to be having an emergency ringer.
I I haven't seen anything in chat saying that. I think they're just joking because they said, okay, now let's get collusion here, which
I never
I feel
know.
I feel like that's probably not allowed. I don't know what this tournament's rules are on contenders players, but
It's a no.
I think Kalush might be a bit too good for this tournament. I think anyhow might. I don't see anything saying that anyhow had to go.
Listen,
So
this is
and
why
it's
this is why I got trust issues. All right, it's these players. I never know what's going on with them. Are we getting a swap, or are they just kind of going in to change their skins? These players are evil. I tell you.
well, let's see.
Oh, you're gonna bring out the
Discord
glasses.
channel. No, I'm just looking at the Discord channel.
This guy.
No, that's the wrong channel. Let's see.
Oh, wrong channel.
Static, is that anyhow? No, that is someone else. So they might be bringing in someone called Static, because I see them in the voice chat, but not the game. I don't know. Maybe anyhow did actually have to go. It's hard to say. We'll figure that out eventually. Either they have to play 5v6 or
How
bring
are
someone in.
how are we supposed to know? These players are vicious in every
They're
moment.
vicious. They meme us relentlessly.
They meme us, they ego us. What are we supposed to do? All right, we're just the casters. We've got to sit here and relay everything to them. But how can we relay the information we don't know, Acre?
Well, I've been told that Static is their coach, so
Look
hard
at
to
you.
really say. We do have Gaia saying ready. I'm sure they're ready to take a 5v6, but I'm sure GeForce will be opting to get someone in, whether it be anyhow or literally anyone else.
At least look at this. It's now a fair fight. Both teams quite possibly are going to be having a ringer in, so that may affect G-Force's own type of way that they want to push in. I don't know how strong they'll continue to be, especially because I was already getting really close as both of the teams were kind of in that even stalemate. And I still feel Temple of Anubis is not a map to where Wrecking Ball works to the finest. And while yes, I could be, well, I most likely am inherently wrong. I just felt that it's not a composition that works, especially against something like Poke or kind of the tree household strategy. I think it's nice. I think like it definitely abuses teams that don't know what they're doing, but these are teams that I would say are fairly equal, if not, better than one another, kind of at the close range. Oh, anyhow, it's just memeing on us. Don't even worry about it. Resetting of the game. But still, these are, I feel like the Wrecking Ball, mirror, that's where the fight happens. But let's say one team was going just that big double shield versus the Wrecking Ball. I feel like that double shield's gonna win. Because it only does, I think it just doesn't work if you're dumb. If you let yourself get booped. If you're not expecting, because everything is so telegraphed against it, You have your alt tank be able to touch that point, you have your tracer or somebody, you just focus on the front line. There's not much to worry about Acri, but, I definitely could be wrong, and honestly, I'd have to say as a plat player, I'm probably am wrong.
So I can give you a little bit of insight to what I have seen before at high level play of Wrecking Ball on Temple of Anubis. Oftentimes it works very well on the defense, or on the offense rather, not so much on the defense, because there are some rollouts, particularly on first point attack of Anubis, where you can have these like giant long sweeping motions where you can just like swing in, boop anyone off the high ground, and then your team dives in. But it's played very differently and a lot slower from the Wrecking Ball compositions we've seen thus far in the series. It's played a lot more like a Reinhardt Brawl in terms of pace, where it's very slow, methodical, you wait for the right opportunity and you just collapse. So it's a lot less split than like a Wrecking Ball and a Tracer going off into the far flank and trying to make a play while the rest of the other four members of G-Force or Gaia would stick together, right? It would just be like the Wrecking Ball going off by themselves, looking for a boop, and then collapsing in from there. So it's much more of like a death ball with a slight flank element to it. That's just what I've seen in the past. I haven't really seen Temple of Anubis with Wrecking Ball being played recently, so maybe there's some kind of new strategy or meta. I could also potentially see it being played on the defense, right? Because there are, especially on first point defense, there's a lot of areas to go from the high ground to the low ground line for a lot of pile driver combos, potentially. But I also would not blame these teams for just running the Orisa, biting the bullet and being like, look, this works. Why change anything about it? So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have a few seconds before we get to see what G-Force wants to play, and it looks like the exact same thing that they've been playing, besides Ultimate Whip on the Echo, as opposed to the Tracer. Gaia on the offense is teasing Double Bubble, which makes a lot of sense because it is difficult to run the Wrecking Ball here. As we've said, Double Bubble is much more established on Anubis. Right, I'm not sure how it'll work in the head-to-head matchup. I think these compositions inherently are relatively even. Maybe the Wrecking Ball has a little bit of leeway in terms of like who do you focus if you're the Double Bubble. We're actually seeing a little bit of a tease now onto the Super Monkey Ball, the Winston Wrecking Ball composition, but no, it's going back to the Double Bubble. They're on offense. They can change until the very last seconds, but Double Bubble is what they're running out on, as you're now seeing, and a little bit of an Echo duel here, potentially. Haven going on a flank, gets the Discord Orb, and has to play slowly to make sure that's taken off before they really start to flank more aggressively.
Yeah, they've got to be the engaged.
Okay.
Even then, Pummy's not going to be able to escape with their lives. Having so many resources in this Double Bubble, they immediately move in. However, it just seems Astro is going to be punished, but Pink wants to be able to trade in there, having the better outcome inside the small cubby, looking to just have a little bit of Fort Pink is being able to hit that 2k out, and eventually with this DMAC, see, this is the moment when I tell you that I was absolutely right, that the Wrecking Ball just does not work. Especially going up against just the Double Bubble. They had so many resources, and the fact that Pink was getting not only peeled, but had their own utility to be able to survive and slow down the rest of G-Force. Well, even with this engage, as we see Shredder just trying to do as much as they can, there's not really anything that you could do quite against it besides from that stall. We already see the stun go in, and they're not even doing anything. Like, look at this. What a clean execution. And now with over 5 minutes on the time bank, they've already
right-hand stairs, but Pink got a beautiful sleep, stopping Pummy right before any contest could happen, which was just beautiful. The Nano was already coming in, Ash for Nexus, just running amok. Taser on steroids. What else do you need?
Looking to take this early staggered fight, though Strider builds that mines, immediately gets shut down. Not gonna have any happiness in their hole. Ult is able to find out the Zarya, but it's still at a very big disadvantage. Using that Transcendence just to be able to move in doesn't save ball because of the pulse bomb. However, this might be where this stagger is now benefiting them. Strider Ryan also pops in looking for that charge, finds out Pink. That's an absolutely rude move, but you have to move in, Strider. You got to be able to protect your team. Your D.Va places down that bubble just to be able to protect it. It breaks down, but nobody's out to be able to get hit by it. It seems they still want to be taking this fight, but it seems to charge. Strider, by far, is the best main tank when it comes down to this league. Just look at this pure elegant until that Graviton Surge hits, and you're just stuck holding that shield. The Pulse Bomb misses out. It's not really going to be helping much, but Strider gets picked off. We see Supply using this rally to be able to kind of make a difference while Feed is going to be popping out. But they are continuously moving into what could possibly be defined as a dying fight, though they're being able to bring it back in and kind of hold this out for a little bit longer. Look at this, Strider is returning back into the fight with the Fire Strike, is able to get this stall in, though having to jump back out while the Sombra is looking to just pump in as much damage as possible. Seems the Focus Fire is going to be able to bring this back before it turned into a scrappy one at that. Anyhow, isn't really going to be having a mech to be able to do anything as this Focus Fire is pure and clean, though Bull is able to come back in and get a little bit more of a stall in. It's just going to be able to capture at around 4 minutes and 3 seconds. And you know, that really could have ended wrongly.
I cannot describe how rare it is to see the clock go up after a round. It just doesn't happen, right? Like that is a statement and a half from Gaia. I think they're done being stepped on, right? Like the last couple, the last map in particular was really close. Definitely could have gone Gaia's way, and I think that was their way of saying, this stops now. We're here from the upper bracket for a reason, and we're gonna prove why that is. The Ana from Pink in particular, I have to shout out, just because he is the substitute, the ringer here, and the anti-nades, the sleeps were just on point. Like, as an Ana player myself, it's a thing of beauty to watch someone who's just like in the zone, and now you have a really weird teased composition from GeForce. I do not expect them to run out these supports. These supports do not play well with Wrecking Ball whatsoever because they can't reach him, right? So they're still in spawn. They can change it, but I mean, if you're Gaia, they're not changing anything up. Why would you change anything up? That was not just a good round. That was an excellent round. That was dominant, to say the least. Like they allowed the respawns from GeForce to come back with a massive spawn advantage, and their target focus just outweighed all of that. A beautiful play there. GeForce actually running out with the Lucio Moira. Okay, I'm confused as to who they're gonna heal outside of like the D.Va.
Themselves.
We're gonna they're gonna pocket each other, yeah. But we'll have to wait and see.
They're rotating as a team, but it already seems that Bubble is going to make sure that well, there's a bit of a split. Ult isn't really going to be having much when it comes to just healing or defense-wise, as the rest of the team are stuck on top of the stairs. Shredder is at least being that benefit of a distraction, and there's not much that you can truly do against it. But we see combined with Doom being able to move in, they now know where they are, and there's not going to be much that you're going to do against it. Sure, you have that available high ground, and you're now being set up to dive, but Strider has to go back and play more of a confusing ring around the rosy type of strategy. They still need to be able to touch on to this point, eventually setting themselves, getting the bubble. Supply and Pink are still feeling perfectly fine. Though the dive is there, it seems eventually Supply is just not going to be able to survive for a bit longer, though that D.Va anyhow is just barely going to be able to make it through. The Devil Ball is still more than happy to be able to fight this out until Doomed goes down. This is now where they're feeling a little bit more cautious than Tracer's fighting the baby D.Va. But look, they have so much to feel, and even Pink is holding this fight out on their own. It's not going to die at all, and that's what I call an Ana MVP opportunity. You know, just give them that love.
Yeah, honestly, the challenge here, the biggest challenge for the Lucio Moira support duo is that it does not have a lot of sustain, right? Once the Moira loses the heal charge, it's almost impossible to like sustain through a long fight, whereas the Ana, the Brigitte are just incredibly sticky, right? They're really hard to deal with in long fights, so GeForce needs to take these fights and win fast. Otherwise, they are not going to survive for very long. And right now, they're not really doing that. They're taking long rotations. They're taking a long time to fully engage. And once they do, they're very split because they don't have long range heals. So there is a way to win with these supports, but they're fighting an uphill battle and they're not playing the way they need to.
A fair trade out, especially with Doom, who has that copy. Though that Lucio very much is struggling to stay alive. The mines combined with the bomb placed perfectly until you realize that there is natural cover in this game and they're able to perfectly protect themselves. Going back in, trying to peel in for Pink. Pink is not getting hit with any damage until that pulse bomb sticks on, though you do get that even trade in. This is now where you're feeling a bit more benefit. No, that grab. Combined with the sound barrier, I don't really think that Strider was gonna die, though Strider was low. I'll give them that. You know, this is at least one very long stall to where we see Gaia wanting to try to make this winnable in any form of capacity. Though they're at a big disadvantage. That bomb now placed out. We see the recall being able to protect, and we see Doom trying to do as much as they can. It seems that they are now looking to finally give up until the rest of the team moves in, always with kind of the double standard, you know, as I'd like to say, waiting to be 6. They dive back in. They're looking to be a unit, but they have to go through that small choke. Being dived on is not a good thing. Anyhow's coming close up to that Demon Bomb, so they at least have that as a supply because, well, they have him back inside their own chest piece as we just see Doom struggling just to be able to be up. Pink can't even peek in. This is where G-Force are having the focus fire and the Unity to be able to go in, but this time Pink has been lowered down to around 35%. You may get this capture, but you will not be having over 4 minutes.
No, and even if it's a complete snowball, which they have the resources to do, I mean, look at G-Force's ultimates. It's possible, but they need to do it fast. Right, like EMP bomb, and then immediately just pop every other Q you have in the bank at that moment in time. Because like this isn't gonna be very pretty. They're gonna have at least a minute less than Gaia, so they need to get as much time on the bank as possible. Otherwise, Gaia is just gonna run over them with the time bank alone.
Well, already seeing this fight kind of move in, wanting to just make that difference or to get much of a time bank as possible. They do have a bunch of ultimates, and it seems this is the Q game as they place down the mines, combine the EMP with the coalescence, and this pulse bomb just to make a clean fondue of a second tick. Though these rally is looking to kind of help them move back in, combined with the bubble. They have the sound barrier just to be able to peel back in, combined with that bomb to make that space. Anyhow, it's not going to be able to get back into their mech, though having just a little bit of healing just to kind of make yourself live and have that longevity is going to be a big problem when it comes for the side of Gaia. They now are low. They only have 3 people alive, 4 if you count Astro coming back from the spawn room. The D.Va looking to do their best. This isn't a one-tick type of fight. Astro does have the Primal Rage looking to find anybody out, and it seems the copy is going to be landing onto the Tracer while the Primal Rage is going inside of the backline looking to boop anybody off as much as possible, giving some room for the rest of the team to come back in. Pulse Bomb landing down, but it seems that it kind of missed out at the same time. Though I hear that little click, it's not clicking inside their heads as they are not being able to get too much out. Basketball able to find out Astro as the mines get placed once again. That is incredibly hard to build in such a quick time. And look at this, there is not much left. As they try to touch this point, it seems that we're going to be going into another type of 4-4 scenario, because 1 minute and 50 seconds is all they're going to have. But they at least managed to capture it much farther than I truly think that they were kind of probably getting able to.
Yeah, definitely. It was scrappy. They have, you know, slightly under half the time bank. So, but at the very least, they captured, right? They're going to have another chance to attack, and as long as their first point offense is cleaned up a little bit more this time around, you know, if they take those fights a little bit faster, I think they should be fine. Because their second point offense was solid, I think in large part due to the ult advantage that they had coming into it, but at the very least, you know, full cap is a full cap. You take those and run away with it from here, right? If you can win this as G-Force, you're on match point from there. That's really saying something for this entire series, right? Like, they really want to win this map. And Gaia also really doesn't want to lose this map. Gaia had a solid defense on first point. Kind of fell apart there. They just didn't have an answer for like 6 ultimates all at once. But I mean, their first point defense was good. Actually, their first point offense was good as well. So I mean, Gaia, just hold on tight. You know, hold on to first point as much as possible, and your first point offense was pretty darn good, to say the least. So just repeat that. Not much more to say.
You're right. I guess it's really just going to be you know, a show do not tell type of movement. What type of adaptations or real counterplay will we be seeing, as both compositions are basically the same? It's gonna be a matter of execution. We already see them taking their time, letting their Mori and Lucio work together with the Diva rather than just immediately run in. Though once they get split,
Oh
because
no.
that bubble magic ball is going to be falling out immediately. We see them already trying to put pressure onto this point, though Pummy is able to translocate out. It's really not much other than a couple little seconds. That bubble looking to split them up, and it seems anyhow's mech is just barely going to be able to survive, getting so much peel from the game. Though it looks like their main focus is kind of messing with the attention of Gaia. We already see them moving back into this fight, looking to try to get any boops or picks, wasting the resources of this double bubble, making sure that they cannot play as a unit, but it's still not working in their favor because they're immediately regrouping, not letting themselves get split off. Haven's the one who builds up the pulse bomb first too, so they're already winning when it comes to this ult economy, similar to Pink having the nano, throwing themselves in, getting booped away, not going to be able to get too much room in, especially against that coalescence. Pink gets pulse bomb though. Doom is using that copy just to try to make some form of difference, but it's at a big disadvantage right now. The rally being able to be having that extra main tank type of room. The bomb being thrown back, finds out Magic Ball Strider. Young not having any room to be able to stay alive. Plummy is looking on top of the high ground, but it's 30 seconds left. There's not much room that you have left, though. They seem to still want to fight and build up to the ult charge. It's going to be a next fight, and it's going to be a staggered one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, neither team has too many ultimates, but it looks like G-Force is going to have a few more in that regard. Pummy's going to have that EMP, and that's going to be the big one I'm going to be watching here. It's really just going to be on Astro and Fidelum to find something with theirs. Probably Fidelum's going to have to throw in the bomb rather quickly.
Oh, what a good primal rage, being able to pop it up the moment the EMP lands, being able to give themselves more security as they move further. Though anyhow places out that bomb and the mines are there, but there's just nobody really to do much. Though Strider is an impressive player in their own right, there's only so much you can do as your pulse bomb hits the monkey shield, and well, you're looking like an ape brain, as you are not going to be able to get any form of a tick. Though Doom does get hit by that pulse bomb, they use the sound barrier. They just really want it. They are hungry. They are working to devour it. However, it just seems the rock song wasn't even that good, as they get full health, and well, it's a drawable situation with 4 minutes.
Drawable is possible, yes, but
it's
given Gaia's first attempt at an offense, I didn't want to say attempt because that's like downplaying it too much, right?
Yeah.
Like they dominated their first offense. I mean, you have to get over 4 minutes left on the time bank on Anubis of all maps, right? Like the only thing that'd be more impressive than that is like that time bank on like Hanamura, right? It's they don't even need to get the second point. They don't even need half of first point, and they have more time than they started with to do it, right? Like this is pretty dire straits for G-Force, and Gaia don't have to change anything about their composition. This double bubble has been working wonders the entire time. No reason to do anything other than just press W, press Q, and win. They might not even need to press Q if they can win it fast enough like they did the first time around.
Man, whose brain is truly going to be bigger? I do want to take a moment to kind of look at these stats from these players while we're kind of getting a second to kind of breathe and all that. And I've got to say, I'm fairly impressed at the kind of unity that we're seeing on the side of Gaia. They all have an equal amount of the same assists besides from like Pink, and that's impressive.
Yeah, that's normal as well. Diana's not going to have too many assists. And even then, I mean, like, the amount of healing, the amount of damage that Gaia has just been putting in has been astronomical. Oh, well, okay, yep, the Hanzo pick is paying dividends.
Being able to immediately take out that Widowmaker, stopping them from having any sights in the sky. Doom's just gonna say, yeah, I hate Widowmaker. Not even gonna be able to play that out. Seems the rest of the team are just waiting for the 6-man just to kind of dive in, though Astro sets themselves up, taking that patient dive, playing a little bit more back because their bubble immediately gets broken. Supply is able to get the trade in, however, look at this. G-Force looking a lot better as they clean things up, looking a little bit fresher, and they get the picks. Though we do see the pressure going on to the point, there's really not much coming out of it. However, losing Young and so late in that fight is gonna hurt.
Yeah, and unlike when Ultima went down briefly towards the beginning of that fight, Limu Young is not going to get back fast. They don't have a Lucio to like speed boost the Zenyatta back, so he just gotta leisurely float his way back to points, and that's going to take a while. He's just getting out of spawn now.
It's just gonna hurt because look, they have to go into this fight as a 5v6. We already see Astro diving in, looking to build up any form of a primal. However, finding out Haven is gonna be a bit of a benefit as Pummy uses the dragons to split down main onto the point. It seems that Magic Ball's onto the monkey to go after the Zenyatta. It seemed to be the true threat of the enemy team. As Pumpy falls down, we do see the Diva fighting onto the point. This is now going to be a battle of the staggers as we see it go out. We're seeing just as much as they can. However, eventually, with the D-Mech, they primal out. They have to touch the point. The last person being there is the Tracer, but Haven's able to get that one clip, and it just seems it's not enough. It looks like Gaia really want to be able to bring it back as they managed to win out on Temple of Anubis.
Yep, well, Supply is giving their opinions of the opposing main tank, as you can imagine, very annoyed. But I mean, hey, you won this map. You're still in it in a very big way. Neither team is on match points, which is extremely significant for Gaia, because they were never close to match points. So, you know, Gaia, this was a dominant showing. It doesn't matter how much they might have struggled in their first few attempts there at the final round, because they had so much time. They captured that with like what, 2 minutes and some change remaining. Like they had time to just fool around, build up ultimates if they wanted. They didn't need a hyper aggressive clean fight. They just needed a fight, which they got. You know, they keep bashing your head against the wall and maybe you'll find a crack. And they did.
It works out to that benefit. Also, I need my karma, my Reddit karma right there, because I was right when it came to the Wrecking Ball strategy, you know? I get that Reddit karma. You know, I just got an ego. You know?
Someone clip this entire map and then post it on Reddit so that he can get Reddit karma.
Every time I'm right, my forehead gets a little bit wider. My hairline goes a little bit further back. But at least we know this is going to be a series when it comes down to the history books. I don't think that G-Force is going to kind of, you know, sit back in their chairs. I really think this is where they need to look forward and pay more attention to Gaia. They seem to be ready to bring it back. They looked really good on that dive, and I think Pink kind of showed up a lot, though we weren't really paying too much attention to them because they're a sub, so we're more focused on the players who naturally go out, and we get to give them a lot of love. I definitely think Gaia was, Pink was a big point onto Gaia and looked extremely strong.
Yeah, definitely. They were, especially on their first offense, I think part of the reason they captured it so quickly is because of like 2 really gnarly anti-nades back to back from Pink, which just annihilated any healing that G-Force wanted, right? It just destroyed their tanks and then destroyed their DPS. And like, well, guess we lose first point. Unsurprisingly, King's Row is making its way into this series. I would be shocked. Actually, I can't say I'd be shocked. I would be mildly surprised to see Wrecking Ball here, but I have seen crazier things. I've seen Wrecking Ball attempted on this before. It hasn't worked. I've yet to see Wrecking Ball work.
It hasn't worked for you?
No, I've not. I think I've watched a map, but I've never casted a map where it worked.
Mr. Accurate, you're seeing stars, my good man. The Wrecking Ball composition is so viable on King's Row, especially against Brawl. I think it's a really strong composition, you know.
Possibly, yeah. It's gonna depend on how you play it, especially if like one team plays the Brawl, right, and they have the Mei. There's so many opportunities to just shut down the Wrecking Ball before they ever get a chance to set anything up. So it's really gonna be a matter of like if they outplay each other, or maybe they just play the Wrecking Ball duo or head-to-head rather. Right? I would find that kind of funny to see a King's Row game that had 0 Reinhardt in it.
Hey, it's happened. You know. That's all I've been getting recently, and I've got to say, so to give you an idea of it, Mr. Acronator, because you're obviously someone, you know, not educated when it comes to Overwatch. Who are you? You know?
Okay, sure, buddy.
Either way, especially for the people who are kind of tuning in and you may not be accustomed to it, it works in a very curious way because both teams are kind of having to move in on each other. I feel like the defending side obviously have that advantage being that engagers, but it's so weird seeing because there's no shield protecting them. So everything comes down to positioning and kind of your own team's utility to work as a unit and go up against your opponents. You know, I really don't think that, you know, there's much that you have to do because, well, if one teammate is not performing as well as the rest of them, they're going to fall down. It's going to be obvious.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you have I don't know, let's just take the example of like G4 sticking on the Wrecking Ball and Gaia opting to play the Reinhardt. Because I have seen Gaia play the Reinhardt Brawl on King's Row before, right? That's a free shatter every single time. There is nothing you can do about it, and there's a lot of people to shatter because there's not too much verticality, right? There's a little bit, but generally
Yeah.
G-Force in that scenario would want to be on the ground, at least having someone on the ground. And that's basically a free team fight win, ignoring whatever blizzard they decide to throw in if they're playing the stereotypical brawl. So, like, it's definitely viable. I know how it can work in theory, but is it going to work in practice? Especially if Gaia is starting to ramp up, right? Because Gaia is the team I would expect to not play the Wrecking Ball if either of them don't.
Mr. Ackery, I got a question though. How does Zen get hit with Shatter? You know, like it's unrelated and everything, but I'm just.
Do you want the lore answer or do you want?
Oh, there's a lore answer.
No, I was just gonna say I don't know from the lore perspective why that is, but the actual game answer is that the animation is kind of like a wave that shoots up a little bit above the ground, so it actually hits him. Also, Zen's hitbox is pretty low to the ground. If you've ever seen his hitbox, I think it was like a CarQ video. Or CarQ. He's basically like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in terms of hitboxes. Like it's a giant ball.
You know, there's a CarQ video for everything. I'm surprised there's not a CarQ video for like how to run a tourney or something. That man just pumps everything out when there's a chance of new content. Unfortunately, it's mostly just repetitive stuff. I'm not gonna blame him. I love CarQ.
Just calling out CarQ.
Listen. No, wait. Listen, I love CarQ, but I'm honest. Either way, Mr. Ackery, I need you to be honest with what you're seeing because this is something you're not familiar with.
Right, so I'm actually not too surprised to see the Sigma in this case from both sides. Fidelum is teasing the D.Va, but the Sigma makes a lot of sense, right? Because it allows for a poke-oriented playstyle. Pommy, at the very least, like G-Force is probably, well, they're definitely going to stick on this. They're on the defense, and they're going to, they don't really have the opportunity to run back to spawn quite yet. So you have anyhow on the Sigma, Pommy on the Hanzo, but everything else is pretty normal. This makes sense to me, because you want to kind of kite Gaia into the point and get as much time to poke them out as possible. So they're really going to be playing a different style of Wrecking Ball here. It's going to be kiting and forcing Gaia to take long rotations and making the rotations slower just by disruption, right? As opposed to the fast-paced tempo that they were playing before. It's going to have to be played a lot slower. So I don't blame Gaia for actually choosing a faster-paced variant of the Wrecking Ball here just to force a different style, right? Like G-Force wants to play slow, why not try and play fast, get in their faces, because anyhow he's not going to be able to do anything once has his opponents in his face.
Yeah, but it's incredibly funny just to see Strider almost go down. And anyhow, it's the front line defense. However, it just seems that Shield gets bursted down, has to peel it back, and then look, they immediately want to dive on you. Though you're able to kind of slow down Astro, you've lost down ult. Being a Sombra is so good right now, as Doom has enough room to be able to make this pace. However, it seems that they're finally going to be putting pressure onto that point, getting that first take without any care in the world. We're now seeing the rest of G-Force looking to take these angles. They managed to dive out. Supply and Pink, well, they get picked off. However, it seems Doom's able to immediately take out Strider and help the rest of the team immediately clean up. That pulse bomb may miss, but you've already been sent back to your spawn room. It just seems Gaia are looking a little bit more confident when it comes down to how they want to push out. Even if you live, you have no hold.
Anyhow, and Limu Young are very much in danger right now. Anyhow is potentially gonna get staggered. No, actually, Strider comes in with a huge save, so they're likely gonna get out now. Great save from the Wrecking Ball there, but honestly, I think this was just... I don't know if Gaia intended to do this, if they expected the Sigma, but this D.Va variant of the Wrecking Ball composition is very good at dealing with this Sigma variant, because as we saw, once they get into the Sigma's face, he can't do anything. He's better at mid-range, so that's it's just looking like Gaia having a solid offense again. I don't know what else to say. Gaia is really starting to wake up.
Well, they've just been looking more confident. They are no longer wanting to lose to someone called Strider. At least that's my opinion. So we already see Pink taking a lot of damage, able to get that peel in. Unfortunately, Supply is going to get hit by that Pulse Bomb. Transcendence not going to work too well due to the Transcendence. However, we see the counterpart coming in from Young, allowing them to get a lot of room to move in. Even if the hacks start shutting them down, it's not much you can do to kind of end it out. However, it seems Pumpy is just not going to be having that team peel to be able to live out. Now a 5v6, you're not going to be feeling too good. Going to have to just kind of fix your collar up. You're looking a little bit too messy when it comes to this push. We're already seeing just a little bit more of that aggression. Both of these Wrecking Balls are so high up, too. It's almost a confusing strategy, but that EMP comes out, managing to hit Young, but the rally is there to peel in, and they are going to be punishing Doom for even attempting to go up against them. Strider uses the mines, and they are going to be carried by the payload for a little bit, well, until the enemy tries to push it, but it seems they're not even going to have that chance.
Yeah, finally G-Force stopping the cart for what feels like the first time this map, and in a pretty good spot, too. They have a slight spawn advantage. When the cart gets a little bit further along, it'll be a much stronger spawn advantage, but neither team has too many ultimates online. It's really just Fidelum and Haven, and Pulse Bomb is kind of like a cooldown as opposed to an ultimate, so it's really going to be a lot of vanilla Overwatch coming into this next fight, right? It's going to be on whoever can find an opening. The Diva Bomb over the rooftop will find anyhow, so that's a lot of sustain now gone for G-Force. They don't have a lot of ability to take space.
Oh, it's just not looking good. Though that Pulse Bomb gets eaten from ult, that's not going to be looking better on their side. It's still very much an even trade until Pink manages to kind of bling out, manage to find out Pumpy, and now they are going to be struggling a little bit. We are seeing Strider just kind of hang out in the air, waiting to find any form of slam. However, it's a big problem with Supply having out the rally. We see that hack go in. Magic Ball, the trade is there, and they're going to be able to push this payload without too much of a concern. Though anyhow is returning in and is building close up to that Gravitic Flux, there still is a big problem when it comes to having your own team being able to touch that payload if it was being pushed. Shredder even goes in, gets hacked, and now has to try to crab walk out, but they're not even going to have that room. It's so rude to just hack and, you know, shut them down. At least give them the chance to stall.
Once again, just Gaia appearing dominant in this push. There's not much more to say. They're looking really solid. Their target focus is something to be marveled at, quite frankly. Like the speed at which Anyhow and Strider are melting. They're just evaporating. They're not allowed to exist in this map whatsoever. And for Gaia, that's exactly what you need. Losing Supply is not what you need, but I mean, they have time. They can just back up. Soft disengage even. They don't even need to hard disengage because G-Force can't really force them out unless they invest ultimates, which they don't want to do.
Hey, fair enough. Though it is going to be a little bit harder to move in until Doom uses that EMP. That's the moment where you're going to be feeling confident and feeling happy. However, it seems that they really just want to hang out inside their small house. And kind of just feel more fine while Haven is kind of getting set up, waiting for the EMP. Goes in, manages to find out 3. Ult and Doom get traded in this misfight, but the Transcendence is there. They manage to find out Pummy and the rest of the team inside this small room are struggling. Anyhow, does use the Gravitic Flux, managing to escape, slams down, but there isn't much of a follow-up. Tries to go behind them just to be able to get that little sneak attack, but you're not Spider-Man. You're gonna be taken out. You're gonna be killed. Strider is the one who's selling on to the point, and that Pulse Bomb misses inside the mid room. So Gaia at least are having a lot of confidence. We're seeing the spin to win, looking to break those mines, but having to stop for a little bit just because it's becoming a big problem as they try to do it. This is still one last push of a stall. There isn't much for the favorite Gaia, but we now hear that music start going in from Overwatch, meaning this is approaching the destination. We see Supply using up that rally, not going to be able to save out Doom while the mine stops them from moving in. Luckily, we do see Young looking to break down as much as possible. All Pummy uses the high new just to force them out. They're losing a lot of time. That bomb goes in, almost perfectly placed, a little bit too high, not going to be able to take anyone out, but goes a little bit too far in and gets traded out. Now Strider wants to be able to do as much as they can to build up their counter mines, while Haven's Pulse Bomb doesn't find too much because they got stunned. This dive is there and they are ready to take it. Gaia now looking to take that advantage to bring. Magic Ball gets punished, almost just barely manages to escape as Pummy gets taken out. Anyhow, looking to do as much as they can, forcing out the Transcendence from Pink and allows them to move forward with a minute left. They need to be able to capture this point before it goes into an overtime scenario, because it seems that the rally from Magic Ball is going to give them more sustainability, especially with the mines. They're managing to bring it back slower and slower. It's not really going to be too much of an issue as we see them immediately win that fight during that last moment. We're going to see if they can bring it back during the last fight.
Physically could not be closer to full. that with the amount of bodyguarding that is going on with Pink right now, so the Zenyatta will get out. However,
Yeah.
looking at GeForce, they have the High Noon, they have the Transcendence, and I mean, what does Gaia have? They're going to have the Minefield, assuming Astro can survive. They have the Rally, so they're probably going to use that right about now to push in. And then Doomed has the Dragons, probably to get people off the cart, but it's anyone's game. It's going to be determined by how they play this more than what they play.
Yep, it seems they are going to be using this rally to try to go up against, well,
Astro.
High Noon. However, it's just not enough. As the High Noon managed to clip out, Haven
Oh.
is going to be losing out that pulse bomb, and now they're fighting a fleeting match. Though they are able to get that touch and put themselves in overtime, they use that Transcendence. It's the only condition they have to be able to truly fight this evenly, but even Doom doesn't get the memo, gets picked off. With that bomb placing downfield, them doesn't even have a mech to be able to protect the long term. They're the only person who can touch, but immediately getting clipped. This is an even condition. Stopping it just barely at the border. It was an impressive push, but just not enough.
Ridiculously close push. Literally, GeForce need to full capture because the win condition for them is 0.01 meters further. And as we saw, Gaia got 0.01 meters away from capturing, so GeForce just needs to capture the full entirety of the map.
No.
And they win. So it's probably the best possible scenario outside of like a hold anywhere else. But I mean, given the circumstances of how far Gaia had pushed it previously, that was pretty darn good for GeForce, right? They threw in a lot of ultimates all at once. It ended up working, but it was a little bit sloppy there, a little bit dicey, dare I say, and now it's on to Gaia to defend, right? They had a solid defense on Anubis.
Yeah.
It helped them win, but are they going to be able to translate that into King's Row? Because their solid hold, and really their solid performance on Anubis, was not with this composition. It was with double bubble. So are they going to be able to kind of bring back that magic, despite having a really, really good push there? They didn't full capture, so it could have been better. Slightly better, but better. Now you're having GeForce opening up the doors. Pummy looking for a quick shot from the Widow. Doesn't seem like they even see anyone to shoot at. Probably gonna swap back over to like a Hanzo, maybe a Cassidy. Oh, there's the Hanzo pick.
Yeah, Hanzo just works, you know, you're able to get that long range fire out, plus that headshot potential. It's not too much to really care, as we already see them going down the alleys as I once did as a kid. They are looking to put more pressure on to Strider. However, anyhow is there with the peel. Seems Young is going to win in that Zen 1v1 from the long range, able to immediately take out Ping. So Astro wants to do their best, looking to just try to survive while getting in that damage. But Pummy finds out supply, and ult comes in to finish off Haven for that even trade. Though this looks like Gaia are able to get the even picks out, it's still not in their favor because Astro is stuck inside the backline looking to just take this room in to dive. They have to sacrifice that first tick. They still have more than enough room to come back in, but then they sacrifice the second tick. So as we see Astro looking to just brawl in as much as they can, Strider's not going to be able to get too much done out of this fight. The rest of the team seem to just want to play a little bit more back, giving a lot of respect to Gaia and their name as they take out ult, and the rest of the team are looking to stagger anybody else. Young just doesn't have much done, especially with the Brig. Though they're able to survive a lot longer than we're truly seeing it, the Transcendence has to be invested, and even then, magic is still picked off. It's a big ultimate to use for yourself, but at least you find out Pink. However, that's the only person you find, as it seems that the rest of your team are just back inside the spawn room, and you don't really have much to show up for it. 2 ticks, yes, but those were given to you.
Yeah, definitely. GeForce just looks sloppy there in that entire push, right? I mean, they demaxed Fidelum, really great stagger, but then they let him get back into the mech in the middle of the fight. Like, kill the baby at some point, right? Like, that has to be a priority somewhere along the line, so that they at least have to come back from spawn instead of, oh look, they could have killed us with a 250 damage remech, right? So, and I mean, just look at Gaia's ult economy. Like, that's disgusting. They haven't used anything yet, and GeForce still have a ways to go before they get anything. They already used the Transcendence, arguably wasted, and they only have half their time bank left. The Dragons almost got eaten there as well.
Oh, it's a big problem. At least that EMP manages to help them out, as it's more going to be a fair fight, but the Mines are in a very kind of mixed union. Magic Ball is going to be able to escape, but the rally got used solely for themselves as they really couldn't follow up with the team. Now the fight is truly being on this point, over the point, and anyhow is going to make sure that Haven can't help. We do see Magic Ball eventually falling down similar to Bummy as the Diva Bomb's being used solely so they can have a chance to remech, but look at this. There is nobody on the side of GeForce who are going to be able to live it. They all die.
There was a brief flicker of a moment there where GeForce looked like they were going to do really well with just pure target focus. But I think Gaia's ultimates just kind of overwhelmed them, right? They pressed Q more, in the words of Seagull. And now, GeForce, I mean, what do you do? Look for a Pulse Bomb engagement, I suppose? Because that's going to build up really quickly from Ultima Wep, right? Whereas Fidelum can just toss in a bomb wherever he so pleases and likely at least get a little bit of damage in. Yep, there you go. I was expecting that to happen soon.
Oh, manages to find out Pummy, and it's even worse because it looks like GeForce had a big disadvantage. Haven has just stepped up their game, immediately gets that 2K, and even the Transcendence has to be used just to touch the point. It seems they want it to have it there to be able to do anything. However, Magic Ball turns their shield to the Pulse Bomb, gets hit by it. Pink does have to use the Transcendence because Strider was there to be able to pump in that damage, but it looks like an entirely new team as Gaia have stepped up the game and they're being able to bring this close to a full hold. However, it's still not over. There is one last fight to have as we see Eddie Howe touch the point, immediately have to go away, not wanting to waste down their own resources. Strider goes in, manages to get that slam out, but the visor is there. But unfortunately, Doom is the one who's going to be picked off in the end. They have to touch the point. They managed to just barely break the mines, get their room in, but Young is looking to be a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more angry. This was finally the opportunity they needed. As we see, Supply not really going to be able to do too much. The hack's there, and they capture the point, saving their lives and hoping to be able to kind of capture the full 3, but it is going to be an upwards battle.
To say that was scary for GeForce is an understatement. That was so ridiculously close. That pick onto Doomed mid-attack visor from Limu Young was ridiculous. Obviously with the help of Strider, who was up on the high ground, but the damage would not have come in from Strider alone. Wrecking Ball does not do that much damage with just the primary fire. And likely Doomed would have been able to sustain through that with the Harmony Orb he has, as well as the biometric field being tossed down. So that was 1 in a million volley from Limu Young and saved their entire push.
Yeah, but what about this one, Acronator? We see both rallies being used, especially just trying to be as annoying as possible against those mines. But it sees the EMB. It's going to be able to find out 5. Immediately, Haven, Pink, they're not going to be able to survive. It seems GeForce have saved themselves the room to be able to push this. But I do feel there will be at least one more fight when it comes to Streets phase.
That is a lot more like the GeForce we saw in the first 2 maps, right? They looked a lot more aggressive there. They were setting the tempo of that fight, and they really only used, like, what, 3 ultimates? Or really only 2. I mean, Pulse Bomb again is a very easy ultimate to build up, and you have a very last-minute contest from Gaia, but this is going to be...
But it's not enough.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. The mines were the pressure point, and they weren't able to break through it, and, well, Fieldum doesn't want to waste their resources to touch that point. Now this is one long fight where they're gonna have to try to bring everything out. This is where Gaia needs to just bring in every ounce of energy that they have to shut anyhow down, because that bomb could be absolutely massive in a point with so much big open spaces. We already see them moving in as Young uses that Transcendence. We see both of the bombs set up. Supply is the one who's going to be going down, and unfortunately Fieldum was hacked, so not able to use their bomb to be able to come back in. However, that trade goes on to Magic Ball. It's looking like the bride's side. Doom is on to the Tracer, able to recall, immediately come back in at full health. Shredder's the one fighting out on Fieldum, comes back in looking to just help as we see the Tracer go down dangerously low, but Haven's basically perfectly fine. They all back out. Nobody's coming in. Anyhow resets, and they're gonna have to try again.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully for GeForce, they have enough time to soft reset. It doesn't even look like they want a soft reset. They're just soft re-engaging.
No.
Even. But the mine's coming in already?
Yeah, they combine it with the bomb, and they've they managed to cleanly find out ult, who just wasn't expecting it. Now this is more of just a staggered fight, being able to shut down G-Force very early, forcing them to step back, and now this is a slow push as they immediately wait for ult to come back. They're gonna be having this EMP as the big win condition. Hopefully Supply can pop out this rally fast enough to be able to at least have that tiny bit of sustain. Counterplaying against it, they're both mirrored. They move in as a unit. We're seeing the EMP get set up, places out, manages to find out 4, well, more of 3, as the Transcendence is there from Young to be able to peel in for the rest of the team. Pink is gonna wait their turn, manage to use their own against the mines, though there are 3 Striders stuck inside the enemy's own backline. Doomed is gonna be picked off. There's only 3 who's gonna be able to stall this out until Supply manages to come back in onto the Lucio. However, they are in one big staggered fight. It's not much left for them as we just see the D.Va trying to do as much as they can, but the hack is there to shut them down as we see Magic Ball getting traded in, but the Pulse Bomb kills Astro before it's even going to explode. With that bomb there, they have to give up, make that space. Haven's gonna be able to come back, look for these picks, able to get that poke out. Strider's dangerously low, dangerously out, and it seems that the respawns were in their favor at 10 seconds.
There's likely going to be a recontest from G-Force. I don't see a world in which there isn't, because Pummy's right there. But this is going to get dicey. Wait! Oh, for a second I thought Pummy translocated out too early.
No, but look, this is the big problem. They can't touch because of the mines. And it seems that Gaia, no matter how G-Force try, they want to bring this series as close as possible, being able to finally tie up the series. And it seems that we are not going to bed anytime soon.
Rest in peace, my bladder. But either way, Limu Young certainly had some ridiculously good volleys here, and yep, this is the exact one that saved their push. They didn't win the map, but this saved them from getting full health, because I fully believe that Attack Visor would have mopped them up.
Yeah, absolutely agree. As much as the D.Va can body block or something, that's basically sacrificing your life. And I do believe it takes around a clip or 2 for a soldier to be able to immediately shut you down, and then they come right back in. It's not going to be that much of a problem. I think the true issue comes is now both of these teams, I think they need to stay a bit more consistent, you know?
Yeah.
As the series goes on, they are going to be tired. I obviously, they play a lot of Overwatch, but there's only so much to handle. This. Hey, I mean, you know, basically a map 5, so it's not the biggest problem. But I think they need to, you know, feel fine. I don't know how late these players stay up or how much sleep they get, but I know they have to get their edumacation in. At least it's a weekend.
Yeah, at least it's a Friday night, right? We don't have to worry about that. Good planning on Refuse's part. Because they just had the foresight to say, these kids are going to go to a map 8 again, aren't they? Because Gaia certainly has experience with that. Looks like we do have some substitutions coming in from G-Force. We do have Ultima Wep being subbed out for Micro. No, Micro is supposedly coming in on Blue Spec, so maybe they're just a substitute or a coach or something.
Yeah, quite.
Yeah. Okay,
possibly.
so we might have no substitutions unless Ultima and who else left? Supply. Magic Meatball. There we go.
Yeah, you think
too many names. Too many names in this lobby.
You know, I'll give you the bright side. Took you a second. It took me a second too, but well, I don't really know where we go from here. Both of these teams have had an opportunity to show themselves up and show what they're made of, bringing the series tied. You know, I think we are at a good point where we could talk about a possible kind of MVP moment to give us some more room while we wait for a map pick and players to come back. You know, who has been at least, who do you think has been a shining star on both sides?
Let's see, on both sides, I'll start with G-Force because they're on the left side of my screen. Pummy has been an absolute menace, regardless of how the rest of G-Force has been performing as a team. On the side of Gaia, I'm going to give 2, and they're kind of like half answers in a way. Astronexus has been playing out of his mind, and Pink has also been performing really well for a substitute and or a ringer.
Yeah.
So I think either one of those from Gaia has just been phenomenal thus far.
Yeah, for me, I definitely have to agree that Pummy has been the one who's kind of been bringing it in a lot of these times, but Young has definitely been showing up. I feel as more of a support player, I feel they've been showing up. They've been doing a lot of passive when it comes to just impact, but I definitely think it's been big moments, especially like we saw in King's Row, how it defined and changed a fight, though debatably so anyhow would have been able to get that kill. While on the side of Gaia, you know, I want to give it to Pink, but Pink can't get that MVP vote. So Pink, if you rewatch this,
Just vote for IBTV in the poll, and it means Pink in this case, because that's who he's replacing.
at this point, I definitely would have to agree. So at least for me, I definitely would have to say the person who's been showing up has been Astro and Haven. They have just been looking so good, especially Astro. I think has been by far one of the better players within this lobby, who has just been immediately moving in, being able to find these picks and be extremely annoying. And I think going up against someone like Strider, who is the king of that, you're doing a really good job. And going onto a map like Nepal, where it's all about being annoying, well, let's see who is going to win on that Christmas list.
Yeah, well, like you said, we're going to Nepal, and that is certainly a Wrecking Ball map. Basically, every round is easy pickings for Wrecking Ball in terms of setups and whatnot, aside from Village, because if you have a good Mei on Village, a Wrecking Ball's life is going to be utter hell. You just wall them off. Where do I go? You don't go anywhere. You just sit there and you die. You know. So if we go to Village, rest in peace, main tanks. But either way, Sanctum, Shrine, perfectly fine Wrecking Ball map, so there's no reason to change anything up there. Now what I'm going to be curious about is Gaia going to be able to maintain this momentum that they've built up, right? Are they going to let off the gas now that they've won the last 2 maps and allow GeForce to come back in, or are they going to keep it going and ride on through, right? Either of these teams can reasonably take this next map, because I don't think any map outside of like those 2 final rounds in Oasis were really stops in any way.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. These longer series are a true test of like a team's composure in the long run. Right. Because it's such a difficult thing in a best of 7.
And it's extremely uncomfortable more than anything. But this is where we're going to be going in, on the bright side, at least, we still have, 5 maps maybe still left in the pool.
We don't talk about that.
But, man, we're starting on the 1 point. And now, earlier you did say rip to main tanks. What do you mean by that? They're going to be able to play both Wrecking Ball strategies, maybe even that double bubble. How do main tanks struggle on Village?
Well, like I said, if you have a good Mei player, which, I mean, we haven't really seen anyone play Mei this series, but this is the map to do it, if anyone. It seems like no one is opting to play Satan herself in the spawn at the very least, but that can change, of course, because they're in spawn. If they decide to play Mei, though, the Wrecking Ball can very easily just have the one of the doorways on point completely blocked off, and then they can't roll through. They're just stuck, they're frozen up, they're melted. Like that, they're not having a good time. What is Gaia teasing? So we're potentially seeing a Roadhog from Fidelum, but let's wait and see. Up there we go. The gate's open, and it's going to be the normal, same old, nothing fancy. Doomed on the Echo as opposed to the Sombra, but he's honestly been doing really good on the Echo lately. I don't blame him for that.
I think you make an amazing point when it comes down to Doom's Echo already being able to get a lot of burst damage in with those stickies, which are, debatably one of the most broken things in the game by some players. We're already seeing the rest of GeForce kind of struggle in. That dive manages to slam down. Ball's not going to be having any type of appeal because Young has to hide, just to be able to keep themselves alive, and it seems, well, there's not going to be much left for it. Gaia are just going to be able to bring this in and confidently say that they control the point.
I think GeForce is probably going to need a long-range hit scan. Right now, they're not swapping off to it, but they literally didn't do anything to Doomed up in the sky, and he just free-farmed. He doesn't necessarily get a ton of ult charge from that, although he is now. But it's just free damage. There's no recourse. He has the best positioning possible, and there's nothing really being done until right now.
Yep, now when they're moving in, they at least managed to find out Pink, but still, look at this, 2 already being able to find those trades, and while they are fighting onto that high ground, Ult and anyhow are in a dangerous scenario, stuck inside the enemy's line. I guess you can say they've been doomed.
Yeah, they're doomed to repeat themselves if they don't do something about this Echo. Now he has Duplicate, and there's a lot of scary characters that he can duplicate. The Brig, the Diva, the Tracer. I wouldn't really recommend the other 3 because those are difficult to find value with, but I mean, hey, whatever floats your goat, I guess.
It's not going to be too much to worry about. They managed to find an early pick, and the EMP comes in. Doomed is now going to have a bigger issue being inside that Copy Diva's body. However, they immediately come back in once the effect wears off. Though, D-Mech, they managed to place down that bomb for the last second. Though everybody is gone, Pink is able to get that even trade in. Mines being placed onto the point. The Transcendence looking to just break it around, playing a little bit of ping pong by their own lonesome. It just seems they're going to be able to contest this point for as long as possible. Unfortunately, though, Pink is going to lose their life, and that point is going to be reflipped. It is going to be a bright side, at least to this, until Astro places down the mine to the point. They immediately get that recapture, and now it's at 80%. It's a one-fight territory. We already see them immediately moving back in. They have to use that rally just to make some type of change. As we see supplies looking to die, they're just barely going to be able to escape as the bomb gets placed, allowing them to be able to immediately remake. Supply eventually goes down. Same with O. This is not looking favorable for either side as they're both in an uncomfortable rotation until Magic Ball is able to find out Haven. That bomb piece thrown in, but it gets stunned. Being able to save out Young just barely fast from the brig. They now have control, and there's not going to be much to worry about. Though, they still have to be a little bit careful because Pink is out there being able to snipe you. Wacha, wacha. You are still perfectly fine. The fight...
Tommy has EMP, though, so there is an opening, but...
but it is the opening. Able to hit a 5-man, or 5-thumb if you were to be a bit more inclusive. It just seems the rest of the side of Gaia aren't going to really be able to do much. That's basically the key, the flag to end all fights. They're going to at least have a one-fight scenario to be able to bring this back.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're Gaia, you are not sweating in any regard. You have like 6 fights to bring this back. You have the rally, you have the duplicate, you have the mines, you have the transcendence. I mean, your opponents just use the EMP, so you don't have to worry about that. You can just use the transcendence just to walk in on point, deal with the minefield, whatever you want, really. It's free at this point. It's free real estate. You just gotta press Q.
You know, I'll definitely give you that. Haven's already taking a lot of damage, though. But however, the old economy is still fairly even. Pink gets hacked, so it's a bit of a problem as they're not going to be having that Transcendence. But they still move in, taking out Pommy before the EMP is able to get too much room. And the Transcendence looking to break through the mines. Now the Counter Trans looking to break out the other mines. A little bit of an Uno card, if you ever want to call it that. Magic Ball does have the rally building a lot of room just to be able to say, hey, come at me, bro. However, that point has still been moving forward in another one-fight moment. It seems that Astro Pink, they're not going to be able to help out as much as they want. Coming down to the individual kills, when they come in to stall, it's gonna be a stall.
Yeah, this is looking not too good for Gaia anymore. We're gonna have Haven and Doomed there onto the point, being able to stall a little bit. But, I mean, this is do-or-die situation now. Gaia took a little bit too long to lose that previous fight, and now they have a Uno reverse card, like you said. Nice stick.
I'm not gonna lie to you, it looks like they're ready to die! That EMP lands down, slamming hard, and it seems that the rest of Gaia are looking a little bit more upset. That mines places down, nobody's able to walk through that corridor. It's a big isolation, especially for Pink, who needs to touch this point to help the team. It seems that the bomb is gonna place down, and look at this. G-Force able to bring it back when it almost looked to the opposite sense. But though, they still need to bring it home.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to win one more round at the very least. And they definitely struggled there, right? I wouldn't say that was like, they figured it out. No, they just had I think it was more Gaia choking. Gaia made more mistakes than G-Force in that round. And it's really just going to come down to if Gaia can clean their act up or if G-Force can get a little bit better target focus, right? That seemed to lack a little bit when they lost the points for the majority of the first part of that round.
Yeah.
They definitely brought it back, though. So if they can keep that kind of momentum, they're going to be fine, as well as punishing Gaia. I think Gaia just needed a moment to, like, breathe and be like, look, we can retake the point. Just calm down. We got this. They didn't quite do that. So they ended up just choking, I think is the best way to put it, right? So now you have a little bit of a different look from Gaia. Slower paced Wrecking Ball composition, the Sigma. This didn't work out too well for G-Force, but Gaia is not G-Force, so let's see what they do. Oh, what was that shot?
Hey, still not working well for G-Force anyways, as Pommy immediately gets domed in the face, feeling a little bit antisocial, I'm guessing, not being inside this party. We see the Brawl immediately entering into kind of the stairs. However, the rest of G-Force have to back up. There's just too much poke and damage that is going in to where they can move forward as much as they're being able to kind of move in. And Strider wants to be able to boop, gets hit by the flick and has to fall down. Tries to slam down, but getting Storm Arrowed is going to be a disease that you're not going to get any cure from. Magic Ball has to try and escape with the rest of the team, but that is just unfortunate when it comes down to pressuring.
Haven has been doing a ridiculous job. It's kind of funny that Fidelum got the credit for that, but Haven has been doing a ridiculous job of just locking down sightlines on this Hanzo. That's not normally what he's known for, right? He's more known for like the random mid-range headshots like he opened up that fight with against Pummy. But like, he's been doing the job of a long-range hit scan as a Hanzo. That's not necessarily the easiest thing to do, especially on this point with a lot of different corners and things to get in the way. He's already pressuring down Ultima. He's not allowed to exist. He has dragons. Gaia are just chilling right now. They're waiting for G-Force to push in onto them.
They're chilling like villains, as I'd like to say. Haven does have the dragons, however, it seems Doom's own pulse bomb is going to be the opener for this fight. Focusing down Magic Ball the moment that they come back into this fight, and they're still mostly sitting on the stairs feeling fine. There's not much that G-Force are going to be doing. That Tracer is a good pick, but that Tracer's going to be coming back really fast. So as much as you're able to get this poke in, Pummy does not have the EMP, and it's still much of an ensemble when it comes to how this dance wants to be going. It's a big mess and a big fight, and Ultimate almost falls off the map. That's not what you need, especially when that Dragons goes out, splits your team, so when they're moving forward, it's going to be a big problem. Pummy builds the EMP, manages to place it down, Pink gets hit, but the rally's there to be able to be a big room to help. Haven, unfortunately, though, falls in this fight. The DMAC onto anyhow, make sure that they're not coming back. And while they are playing onto this point, they place down the mines. There's not really any room to truly bring it back. It's a big problem. It's not like before. Young gets hit with the Graded Flux, so uses that Transcendence to be able to come back in and still be fine. They have to touch that point, and it seems that Pummy's the one who's going to be able to do it as Strider immediately goes down and gets hit with way too much damage. Pulse Bomb going to be landing onto Magic 8 Ball. Not going to be too much of a benefit as anyhow has to use that bomb, but still gets pressured out. Not going to be able to do much. It seems that Gaia have learned from their mistakes. The better G team, as I'd like to say, has no room and no pressure is going to be out onto the side of G-Force, and it seems once more we're going all the way. But that was 100 to 0%, a way different look than before.
That was Gaia making a statement, right? Like the previous round was 99 to 100, couldn't have been closer. Gaia just choked a little bit. This was not Gaia choking at all. This was just apparently G-Force's weakness is Sigma, regardless of whether they're playing it or the other team is. So, I mean, I shouldn't even say that, because it wasn't really the Sigma that was pressuring them. They just... Part of the reason you play the Sigma and the way you play the Sigma in the Wrecking Ball comp is you just poke, right? It's just a very heavy poke composition with a lot of disruption. And G-Force didn't know how to play into the poke. Every time they tried to jump in, you had Haven or Doomed just putting in so much damage from the poke that it melted whoever was trying to engage. So they just didn't find a clean way of getting in there. And that was basically it. They needed to play faster. They needed to play more cohesive and determined. Didn't quite work. Whatever synonyms you want to throw in there, it didn't work.
Yeah, however, it just seems that when it comes to this next fight, it is going to work a little bit more, at least when it comes to just how Gaia wanted to be able to push in. Finding out both of the supports was a guaranteed way to move in, even forcing anyhow to reset and Strider to look a bit more confused, being on top of that elephant. We're in no zoo, we're in a battlefield.
Yeah, that was just dominance from Gaia. They took elephants, the giant elephant statue that you can see Fidelum nearby right now. And that's such a powerful position to be in, especially when playing against a Wrecking Ball composition, especially when you have a poke composition like Gaia does. Because now, you have G-Force up on the high ground, sure, but that's not necessarily the end-all be-all when there's so many opportunities for Fidelum to just poke in damage left and right. Doesn't even have to see them. He can just bounce his orbs off the wall and get a ton of damage in before they ever get a chance to touch the point.
It really seems so, but now they're moving back into this fight. They want to try to get this big pick, going in for that slam. However, it seems that it's not going to help because Young's the one who gets traded, well, more of picked off in the backline with the pulse bomb. Now the rest of the team being stuck inside that small room eventually gets a little bit bullied. Not going to have too much anyhow. The stuck as the baby is just going to die, and that's not looking too great.
Pummy just watching his teammate be bullied from the elephant statue. Has the MP, but zero opportunities to use it. And Pink is going to have to be very careful because they are in perfect range for the EMP. They have to know this is coming up. They have to play around it. Otherwise, G-Force are extremely likely to win this upcoming fight. And you don't want that if you're a guy. You just want to take another 100-0, right? G-Force setting up. They're waiting for the right opportunity. Pummy just getting ready for it. Pink either needs incredible reaction time or to move out of the way right now.
Looking
EMP
for
coming in.
But look at that, that's a massive EMP.
Wow.
However, Pink is able to reaction time it, use that Transcendence, and save the team besides from Haven. We do see, look at this, the Mines bling them off as the Gravitic Flux is looking to poke anybody out. Seems Shredders wants to walk into the enemy. Have a little bit more respect for them, you know? This bomb is looking to be able to trade. Magic just barely fall down, but it's not going to be able to get too much as Magic has to use the rally to be able to be that new main tank for them. And it seems that they're finally getting control over the point. Haven is coming back with the high noon, shoots a shot, but doesn't manage to hit. My relationship in a nutshell, as we see Asho looking to spin to win, but it's not going to be enough. Though Strider does get traded out in the end, they are at a big disadvantage with less of a team. It just seems that G-Force are going to have more room to try to bring this back.
Yeah, I was going to say something about Pink's ungodly reaction time there, because that was like 0.5 seconds, but he already has Transcendence again, almost. Like, that's gonna build up within the next fight. That's even crazier, I think, because look at G-Force, they don't have very much. They're gonna have the Pulse Bomb, sure, they're gonna have EMP soonish, but Gaia's already in control of this point. I mean, this Wrecking Ball comp isn't really great for G-Force at contesting.
Avoid a Pulse Bomb to help! That EMP was so unnecessary, but they still used it to show the flex. Rice Scum in the house, as they managed to bring that fight in pretty convincingly, I'd say. Well, at least just that fight.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with you that the EMP was unnecessary. I think the plan was to EMP Pulse Bomb, and I guess at the end of the day, it's better to like stick with the plan in that regard, because it's really difficult to change it when you already found that stick, and maybe the EMP helped get that second kill. You know, it's hard to tell. But Gaia has a lot of ultimates coming into this fight, and they can just kind of stick up onto this high ground as much as they want. Ooh, nice pick though on the Pink.
Well, it's just not going to be feeling too good. It's an even fair on both sides, but Young gives the advantage as that Transcendence lets them move forward. Ultimate able to clip out onto Haven. The support line looking to do as much as they can, but it's really just supply, and it seems that it's not in demand anymore. Astro's Mines are going to be going a little bit more in kind of respects.
Honestly, if I was Astro there, probably not invest the minefield unless you get like another pick there and you go up in the fight, because then it's winnable. Now you don't have it into this upcoming fight, and this is last fight territory. The winner of this goes up to match point, and they very much want to continue their win streak of this. Great rally to start things out, especially because Magic Maple doesn't have it quite.
The 2K bomb from Eddie Howe is the opener? We see Ultimate immediately go down. However, look at that, Astro's gonna be picked. It just seems that G-Force bring it in whenever they need it. It just seems, look at that, Fieldum's not gonna be having any room to live off. Already at match point, it's going to be because Doomed is going to be Doofenshmirtz as nothing is left. Haven does have that TP just to be able to kind of come back and have a little bit of pressure onto the Mines. Unfortunately, though, or more fortunately, whatever side you're looking for, G-Force have the clutch factor, and they bring it in.
G-Force wants it so bad. Yeah, they can taste it. They're so very close. And it's gotta suck if you're Gaia, right? Because they lost in 8 maps the previous Overwatch All-Stars Brawl to, at the time, Andy's Daycare, much of them now on Bear Claw. Right, they're so close again. It would be heartbreaking to make it to the grand finals twice and lose in like map 6 or 7 or even 8. Granted, I don't think we're let's fingers crossed we don't get to 8, because I think these players
unless we go on a 2CP and somehow they stall, we are not going on 8 maps. I pray to Jeff Kaplan.
He can't save you here. But, oh dear. Either way, G-Force on match points, and one more to go. Gaia not out of it yet, but they're definitely playing it close.
Yeah, still looking incredibly good on both sides, but you know, give me a little bit of retrospective. What did G-Force do that brung in that kind of clutch potential?
Honestly, I don't know if it was much as G-Force doing something like ungodly and incredible, as much as just Gaia not losing fights fast enough when they were
Mm,
lost and over investing into already lost fights, right? Like Astro Nexus using those minefields at the second to last fight there the previous round, right? Those definitely definitely could have helped in that final fight. Gaia spent like 40% on a losing fight, right? They lost two people
yeah.
early on, they found two more people, but then they lost two more like shortly thereafter, and then the remaining two just kind of stayed there and staggered as much as possible. At that point, you just got to run off and yeet yourself off the edge of the map. You know, you have to reset. These fights shouldn't be taking any longer than like 20%. You know, you look to like the Overwatch League, even contenders, top tier 3, which both of these teams are aspiring to be, and these fights don't take that long. You know, so wasting 40-50% on a singular fight, that comes back to bite you. And the better teams, like in contenders, which, you know, again, these teams are aspiring to be, they're in that like top OD level, they're going to get punished if they keep making that kind of mistake. They're not going to survive in a tier 2 environment, and they're right there, like they're at the precipice of
Yeah.
being there. But these are the mistakes that they got to clean up, because these are the kinds of things that just come as second nature to that top level of play.
You know, I think I couldn't have said it better. While we wait for these players to finish fighting a battle in their own colon, this is now possible match point, and I am so excited to see the possibility. There are so many maps still opened up, at least for both sides, but they cannot go back onto control. It seems that they have been avoiding out escort, though.
Yeah.
I think a lot. They've seemed to avoid it as much as possible, or am I just like kind of going crazy? Because I feel like we went. No, we went on
Uh,
hybrid. That was Blizzard World.
yeah, I don't think we've played any escorts as
Yeah,
of yet.
they avoiding it like the plague, but I feel like if anything, Wrecking Ball is really good on escort, so why
Yeah.
not just hop onto like something like Eichenwald?
I think maybe
Wait,
because both of these teams are known as Eichenwald is not escorts,
yeah,
but
it's a
either way,
hybrid.
um, I think both of these teams have been trying to like figure out where if they should try and like counter pick a map based on what their opponents like to play. Granted, they both like to play the same thing, so that hasn't really been helping them
A little bit,
in
yeah.
many regards. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just pure happenstance and really nothing more to go to it from there, right? Like maybe we see Rialto, because that is a very popular, that's probably the most popular escort map that we've seen, especially in this tournament, but even like everywhere else that I've ever seen, teams tend to like to play Rialto, if nothing else, in terms of escort. So I'd expect to see that come out if there's no other options. Or we could just go to, you know, Eichenwald if that's in the map pool. I forget actually. It's been too long. Let's see what's the map pool. Eichenwald
You're reading.
is in the map pool, so that's a possibility. We could go to Hanamura. We could go to Volskaya. We could go to Rialto or Gibraltar. We can't go to another control right away, so the ones I listed
No.
off are the only options. We're getting kind of slim pickings at this point in terms of maps available.
Oh, it's so stressful. Just I hate
Come
having so many
map.
options. Yeah, I know, but like I don't even know what map do you go on. Do you just say, whatever, you go back onto Hanamura? Well, not back on, but it just seems that that's more of what they were memeing on before of what they wanted to go on. So it's quite possible that they really want to focus more onto that 2CP. And I think that if you want to end it on anything, you end it on 2CP. As much as GeForce weren't able to kind of bring it out, I think you can have that redemption and more secured for your own safety. But even then, 2CP, especially a map like Hanamura, is still that double-edged sword, and I don't know how much they really want to go risky.
Yeah, right. Funny side note, and they're not going to catch this for a couple of minutes because of the stream delay, but I do notice Pascal is now in the stream chat, at least for a brief moment, and they were asking if you could join the game, Pascal. Obviously, that couldn't happen. But it's all sorted out. We got Pink in the game. They're good
Yeah.
to go. Either way, though, yeah. Honestly, I'm not sure what these teams want to choose. Let's see, where do they? Yeah, they have not. They have not chosen a map quite yet. They're asking if we're ready. They're like production and GeForce ready, and we kind of need a map pick first. I mean, technically we could just go back to Nepal, but I don't think that's quite up to code, as you will. Thankfully,
Yeah.
Refused is the lobby host, so we don't have to worry about just here we go
Yeah.
into the wrong map. But I'm sure Hanamura is in fact the map pick.
I get respect.
I don't know how you play Wrecking. Well, I know how you could play Wrecking Ball theoretically, but like you're
Yeah,
fighting
but I
an
called
uphill
it.
battle. You did call it, yes. I almost dare the teams to play the Wrecking Ball because I've seen it like once or twice, and it's always very awkward. Like I've seen it work, I've seen it not work, but I want to see both of these teams play Wrecking Ball against each other and then see what happens because this is not a map that you traditionally think of Wrecking Ball, right? You
Yeah.
think of like the double shield, you think of the dives with the Winston, not so much the Wrecking Ball compositions. You do have G-Force on the offense, or rather, what?
Are you okay? Actually, you seem to have.
No, hold on.
No, don't
No,
worry
they
about
were
them.
put on the wrong sides of the lobby. That's
Yeah,
why I was
don't
reading it
don't.
wrong.
Yeah, don't worry
They were
about
on the
them.
offensive side, but G-Force chose the defense. Just a little bit of a mix up there on the lobby side of things, but we're pretty much good to go. I think
No, look
these
on the bright
teams are
side. All right,
mostly ready.
we're not staff. All right, all we get to do is just enjoy the show.
We
But I've
just
got.
do the talk thing,
Yep.
okay?
We just talk for as long as we want to. That's the air paycheck that we're getting paid
The
today.
air
It's
pitch.
oxygen. It's the oxygen for you. That's your reward.
We
Either
don't get
way,
paid for this.
Either way, I've got to say I am incredibly impressed with all these players, and I'm very excited to see what chat and everybody's been thinking about when it comes to the MVP candidates, because there's still more than enough time to place in your vote to get an opportunity in. And I definitely would like to see some people maybe debating in who they think, maybe try to run in a rally, maybe get somebody out. However, Hanamura, it's going to be a map where we decide if it continues or if it ends. Mr. Acronator, this is most likely going to be Wrecking Ball v Wrecking Ball, but I can still see some little bit of double bubble. Gaia did show it out on Temple of Anubis, so having that comfortability on it might be a little bit better, but, let's just hope, have to rub my chin.
Well, we'll get a first look at let's see what G-Force wants to run on the defense. First and foremost, of course, you all won't be able to see it, but pretty much the same thing that they've been playing, Magic 8 Ball, teasing the Lucio and Pummy on the Ashe. I don't know if they're going to stick on the Lucio, because that's a little bit awkward. As we saw on Anubis, that didn't work too well for G-Force. Yeah, sure enough, we have the Brig swap, but Pummy on the Ashe, that's pretty normal, right? Ashe is quite good here on the defense, actually quite good on Hanamura in general. You have Haven on the side of Gaia teasing the Symmetra. Everyone else is the exact same as we've been seeing Doomed on the Sombra as opposed to the Echo. I'd expect to see just like a quick TP out of spawn and then swap over to a Tracer. That's pretty standard. Nothing crazy here. We're like the only flavor that we've seen thus far is Pummy's Ashe, and I don't think we've seen Ashe at all. But otherwise, I mean, yeah.
Hey,
Same old, same old. Oh wait, no,
Give me a
Haven might... Yeah, okay, we do have the swap. Haven just has a delayed swap.
it was just to give them a couple seconds to spare, at least, Not too much to worry about, but it looks like they're more of TPing. It is going to be that Wrecking Ball v Wrecking Ball, as you kind of more spoke out about, so we'll have to see who has the better usage of their own abilities. It seems that the entirety of Gaia are more a bit behind, not really wanting to take this as a head-up fight. Their support line is split. They don't have any room to be able to push in, so it's going to be up to Doom to hack somebody and then give that opportunity to dive. But the fight is mostly going to be on to the point as that pressure is there and the support line's able to move in. And Hound immediately getting melted. That's so unfortunate. And now they have to struggle into a 4v6 because Ultimate's slowly going to be following closely in. They're all stuck inside of the small house, and, well, that's a linear pathway. So it just seems that...
First point.
Yep, that's just the patience and pleasure going in. As much as they want to stall, they're going out to die.
Yep, that was just clean pickings for Gaia. Nothing more to say, that was just solid. I'm getting Temple of Anubis flashbacks, folks, and that did not work out too well for G-Force, so we might be going to a map 7, but it's way too early to be making any serious predictions about that because there is still 5.5... okay, Pink.
Hey,
Ignore everything I said. Pink is like, no, this is ending now.
Pink's looking the shine for today for being a fill-in. Look at that, already taking that immediate pick. And Bummy
Oh,
eventually following through. They
okay.
have to be able to touch that point. Because it's that first tick, you don't really want to be giving the second one free, so as we see them moving out, looking to get as much damage as possible, it seems that Young is finally going to be able to find out supply, but not until that second tick is there. Both Transcendents going up against each other like two giant boulders smashing between. However, nobody's going to crack. The EMP manages to hit out on that Bob, the more important person, as Astro's mind stops Brigida from being able to walk in, gets hit dangerously low. Strider managing to slam down, be able to help the team, while Strider places down their own minds to be able to bring that factor back in, and it seems that that was just enough of what they need. The respawns were there, and they will be able to hold it.
This is ridiculous. In every way, shape, and form. Hanamura, second point in my opinion, is like one of the hardest points to capture in the entire game, just because this respawn advantage is so heavily in favor of the defenders, especially because of like the pathway to get back is a straight line, so you can just pick like Widowmaker or Ashe or Hanzo and just like go ham on the points without really ever leaving spawn. And I mean, when you look at it, yeah, Gaia invested a lot of ultimates into that fight to try and get it, and they got 2 ticks and a tiny bit extra out of it. So like, absolutely worth it. Because the time bank is still just now hitting 4 minutes. Like, this is ridiculous. This is so good for Gaia. They just need to take it slow, maybe even take a dry fight. Well, dry fight dreams are now gone, but they can still just win the fight.
Ooh, you're right, but it's not much of a fight that they need to win. Look at that pulse bomb, splitting them up. It's not gonna be too good. The Transcendence is used. Now they're feeling fine, but they have to touch the point. It seems Ult's gonna be the one who has to do it before it almost gets captured. But Gaia are struggling. They don't really have much of a room to be able to go in. They are at least playing the patient game. That's the benefit that they're looking for without any true stress in the care. Eventually using their own Transcendence to be able to move in, that bomb being placed in, and it seems that they are getting the Pink advantage when it comes to the side of G-Force, though. Pink able to find out the assassin ult inside their own backline. It's still not too much to worry about. They are stuck, and they are not going to be able to do much. I just feel bad for Pink being stuck inside this small room.
Yeah, there's not much more you can do there. But I mean, they did get a decent amount more progress on the points, and that is going to stick for the win condition, right? They got up to 90.7% instead of like 67% they were at originally. Honestly, I don't know what these teams do outside of like use the only ultimate they have and just see what works. Like, G-Force is going to build up more ultimates faster because they're closer in general. I'd expect to see the Bob come out rather early to just contest the point so they don't have to worry about it, so they can just collapse in onto Gaia, but otherwise... Pink does it again. Okay, that's the second time that's happened. I don't know what to say.
Don't even gotta worry about it. What you need to say is that they are struggling. That Bob was placed off the point. Doom throw their own through their own, and they're able to play now on this point. Those mines are practically useless, as the Bob is going to be the one who's helping to pick them off. Anyhow, is immediately demeched, and those mines were practically plastic flowing through the wind, though Ultimate's own pulse bombs getting eaten, and it seems that with this time bank, it's going to be more than enough until Strider comes in, falls off the map for a tiny second, so not even going to be able to come back really quickly. They need to keep touching off for a second, and it's over for the side of G-Force. Anyhow, able to find the trade on to supply while their Brigida returns to the fight. Pulse bomb there, anyhow's gone, but they have 2 on the point. Same with own Strider, though getting bullied by the Wrecking Ball, manages to hit that charge, but still not enough. Plummy's going to be able to get those trades in. The Brigida looking to be the one who has the long-term survivability. They have to keep touching. It seems that Pummy's going to be the one as the Bob goes in, goes a little bit too far, but at least it's there to bully out Pink. But my goodness, was that a fight.
That could have gone very differently, because when Fidelum had remixed right after Magic 8 Ball had started to use the rally, 8 Ball was like 0.2 meters away from the kill box of the remix, so that could have been extremely different without the semi-raid boss going around on point with a stupid amount of armor, right? That got very dicey, and I don't think G-Force even realizes how dicey it got coming into this next fight. I mean, what do you have? You have Ultima up at the Pulse Bomb, and if you're Ultima, use it mid-rotation. You cannot allow Gaia to push in like this clean, and they got a perfect amount of value. That's exactly what they needed to do. Great play onto Ultima, and now Gaia just has to wait. They're guaranteed 1 fight territory. That's it. Like, they have the Transcendence, they have the Minefield, they're gonna have the Bob and the Rally soonish, sure, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be awkward to even get into the point on time.
Oh, it's gonna be a big problem. They've been able to bring it this far, and that's practically the third tick.
Oh wow.
But Doomed is immediately taking out. That's gonna be a 5v6 as they move in. They need to be able to make this out. Getting that second tick is getting that last tick is more important than you truly expect it to be. Being cast to Transcendence as a need and a necessary one at that, as it allows them to move forward. The mine's being placed onto the point anyhow, looking to be able to be that annoying menace as the Brigida Supply is looking to just boop them around. However, they move Strider off the map. They manage to get the 2 picks. They throw that bomb onto the point safely inside that corner while the pulse bomb lands down just barely. It goes into the wall! The Diva Bomb also misses out, not gonna be much. The Transcendence does not land, and it just seems that Young is not gonna be able to touch. They managed to cap that, but I just need to point out a really big brain moment. Magic put the shield in the wall with the pulse bomb and didn't die from it. That caught me so off guard, especially in such a high intense fight. But even then, that big play is not enough to save them.
No, and Ultima had ridiculously clutch plays there at the very end. I mean, getting the pulse bomb kill onto Doomed, and then going to spawn camp, successfully spawn camp Doomed, so that you're guaranteeing that Gaia is taking this fight 5v6.
Yeah.
And it still wasn't enough. Gaia just had a great tempo from there. You almost wish they could do that more often. But I mean, they had great tempo, great target focus, and GeForce just kind of crumbled when it mattered most, right? Despite Ultima trying his darndest to place everything on his back, and now we see it's the first time I believe this has happened all series. The battle cow has arrived, ladies and gentlemen. We have the Orisa from Astro Nexus. I can't blame Gaia because this is a really solid defensive composition. We have the Ashe, we have the Pharah, either of which with the Mercy Pocket. Pink is on that Ana, did incredible things on Temple of Anubis. We have so many close holds here, just getting a little bit of chunk damage in. Pummy is really, the onus is going to be on him to deal with both Haven and Doomed. Well, Ultima now can deal with probably Doomed. Gonna have a harder time dealing with Haven.
Well, if you wanted to win, this is now the moment that you need. They are going to be having a lot of defensive abilities. Not really going to be caring about too much, especially with Doom on that Pharah. But Haven gets absolutely demolished to those stickies. Now they're camping the body, making sure that that is not resible. Being in a 5v6 scenario is gonna hurt, even with that single shield, because they are being able to break it down and emit so much poke. They're not playing on the point anymore. Gaia now had to play a little bit more back, getting hit with those boops, almost knocking Phelium off the map, but they managed to get that first tick for free, until Astra wants to be able to touch that point, now be a little bit more of a menace, placing down no stickies, getting in that combo slam. Though it does seem Strider is going to be slept. That Nano goes in onto the Echo, looking to build up that copy as fast as possible. Seems that Astro is going to be going down. Phelium's mech is kind of halfway low, but they build up the barrage as a saving grace. There isn't going to be too much to do against it. They try to eat it, but eventually it just seems they find out Pummy Doomed is going to go down. They use that Valkyrie. They want to be making this fight as winnable as possible as they're managing to get the picks. The Diva Bomb is now there. We're seeing that escape. The res is possible, and that is how you save a very dangerous fight. Without that Wrecking Ball to be there and the rest of the tank line, we just see them slowly collapsing on top of each other as, well, Astro's coming in, cleans you out, and, well, you're not gonna have any chance to be able to cap that point.
I'm sorry, I'm in disbelief that Gaia brought that back. I was fully expecting that to just be GeForce's win of that points. A really good pace too. That, first off, I was specking supply for most of that. Phenomenal Mercy play. Like, the fact that he stayed alive for as long as he did was really impressive. Like, it's hard to pick out really good Mercy play sometimes because it's just M1, M2, but like, that was really good juking in and out of GeForce to stay alive. Did I just jinx it? Yes, I did. Oh dear. Either way, it does look like we have a little bit of a fight going on here. I don't know where Intel is, but
No, my microphone was a little bit muted. My apologies. I was talking so much about it.
okay. I thought you disconnected. I was like, oh no, do I have to do both at the same time?
No,
We're
no,
good.
no, but that was an intense fight, throwing a bunch of ultimates, and now they're not going to be having a lot when coming in, but at least they still have those 4 minutes. That's enough. They just need to get a timing if they want basically to feel a bit more confident. Anyhow, does have this bomb, same with the Nano as their engagement, as Philium is looking to kind of shield out that bomb being thrown into the middle of the fight, gets spooked into a very nice position. How a little bit more unfortunate for Strider, as anyhow gets slept. That bomb stopping them from moving in. That Nano hits the Ash, but you don't even get any value off of it. A little bit more unfortunate as we see that Dynamite goes in, gets eaten, not going to be doing too much. It just seems that the rest of G-Force are waiting for their opportunity. Their ultimate still going slowly down as they're still waiting to build it up. We see that Nana go in onto the Monkey, going into the back line. Young is going to be picked off. A little bit more unfortunate. Same with the Mech. G-Force just taking way too long.
We do have Strider on points, but there's certainly not going to be a tick given up as basically everyone's resetting. Strider will get back to spawn without having to go the hard way, as it were. And GeForce building up a good amount of ultimates, right? They obviously don't have the latter 3, but I mean the Bob, the Bomb, the Minefield, that's pretty good. And they got out a good portion of ultimates from Gaia as well. So that's looking quite pretty. And like you said, GeForce really just needs to capture with over a minute left. And Gaia doesn't get another attempt to push from there, which is great for them. For GeForce, that is.
Look at this, already playing on to this point. They place the mines more closer to the stairs. Anybody who drops down is going to die, but they immediately give up as they want to be able to finish this fight out as much as possible. Already, look at that. The tank and DPS are going to be falling as Brigida is slowly being picked out, and Ping's in a very dangerous spot, able to get that healing, and the rally going to be secured for this fight. Not too much to truly worry about as the boops are coming in. That Bob does get thrown in from Haven to be a lot more of that security, and the Monkey returns, getting that Nano onto the high ground. GeForce aren't going to really be able to do anything against it.
I worry for Gaia because they just stacked both support ultimates, and it's not the most egregious, I suppose, because there's a lot of offensive value in stacking Rally and Nano, but they have 2 minutes left to defend. Maybe, save the Nano, perhaps? I don't know. It's a mistake that they can't take back, and they're just gonna have to live with it. They have plenty of ultimates to still deal with things. If I were doomed, I was gonna say use a pulse bomb early, but I mean that works too. Different kind of bomb, but same result potentially.
Same result indeed. Already moving in, looking to pump in that damage. However, it just seems GeForce looking a bit more clowny than anything. Not even going to be able to get that second tick, and they have 1:30. This is getting a lot scarier the longer these fights go on.
Yeah, this is getting a little bit dicey for both teams, right? You're having a lot of staggers. Astronexus getting pressured out, but he should be able to get out without too much trouble. He still has the jump pack ready and waiting. And it looks like GeForce are really just building up more of their ultimates. They realize that Gaia doesn't have a ton, so if they can just take their time and rotate, they're going to be building up to a plethora, an embarrassment of riches, if you will, much sooner than Gaia would. So they can just kind of wait a few seconds, build up rally, press Q all at once, and win,
Oh, I definitely agree.
Oh, no.
The big problem comes to the fact that ult is gone. What ultimate are you going to be able to hit when you are gone? The rest of the team at least are somewhat playing a little bit more back, at least taking their time.
It's one fight territory, and it's already below a minute, so Gaia, even if GeForce captures the entire points, Gaia will get another attempt to push, which is not great if you're GeForce. You kind of wanted to end this sooner than later. Again, GeForce are on match points. They can absolutely win this still, but Gaia's sitting pretty, minus the ult economy.
I'll give you that. They move in that Nano on to the Monkey. Gives them a lot of room. A lot of ultimates are there while Magic Ball's looking to build up as much as they can. Pulse Bomb misses on the low ground, but Haven coming up. And that Sleep Dart saves so much. Stops that high noon from the Cassidy. That Bob goes in, throws into the mines, not a care into the world. Now it's getting a lot of poke pressure while Strider is looking to get that damage in. Gets that second tick, has the Transcendence, but now it's in overtime. That's going to be a big problem. However, they are looking to kind of win out this fight as Pink eventually goes down.
Yeah.
Haven is going to be able to get Tommy out, so at least getting that slow staggered fight, while a Brigida and the Tracer are the only ones to touch. It's going to be the Tracer who gets that last second moment in as Pummy falls down. Doom looking to do as much as they can to charge from Astro, and it's going to be a minute on both sides.
Yep, so dead even. Could not be closer. I have no idea where this is going to go at this point. These teams are so hungry. It's disgusting. Possibly literally as well, because if they're West Coast, it's probably been long past dinner time, and who knows if they got a chance to eat. They're like, oh, it'll be a quick 4-0. We'll get this. That was 6 maps later.
That's how I don't think there's ever been a truly 4-0 when it comes to Star Esports. I don't even think Andy's Daycare were able to 4-0 last season, but I could be wrong about that. I have
No, it
terrible
went
memory.
to 8 maps against Gaia
Yeah.
last time. I remember Zira pinging me in every single server, like, did you see it? Did you see it? I was like, yes, I saw it. I saw it, Zira.
Look at like
I
a
very
small
much-
child being shown a picture by their parent. Wait, no, vice versa.
But either way, we have more or less same stuff as we've been seeing from both of these teams. Haven on the Symmetra are probably just going to be TPing them out and swapping back over to the Tracer, as we have been seeing. I haven't really seen too much of the Symmetra TP to points recently, especially with the prevalence of the Wrecking Ball, because you could just rotate so fast. What's the point? They're going to be on top of you before you get a chance to establish yourselves past the TP. Pummy building up Bob ridiculously fast, and that might be the key to holding this points.
Well, just kind of have to see how it goes. Look at this fight already commencing in. They basically need to prioritize living for as long as possible to build up that ult charge, and, well, try to do as much as you can. We already see Doom struggling to be up, and it's going to fall down at the 30-second mark. It just seems there isn't going to be much done here as we see the support line slowly fall down. Pink and Supply just struggling. They only have less than 30 seconds, and they have to touch. That's a big problem.
They can't stagger, and honestly, if you were Ultimo Wep, I would have liked to see maybe some attempt to actually, wait, no, he is, because you have Haven in the backline. If Haven dies here, this could be absolutely crucial for the defense, which is not what they want, right? You do have Haven and Astronexus coming back together, coalescing once again. They have to touch the points. They should be able to get it.
Yep, it's gonna be in a Wimbaway type of moment. I don't even know what that means as we see this fight now tick into overtime. They have to touch. Please don't see 9. Almost just barely at that last second. They're gonna be able to kind of bring this back. Ultimate placing down the post bomb's gonna land, but they managed to eat or somehow cancel it out. Deny it, but it's an even trade on both sides. Though Magic Ball being gone is a bigger problem. Uses that Transcendence just to be able to make that difference. And while Supply is using their own rally to be a big problem in the opposite side, they place the mines in the middle of the point, making sure that nobody can do too much. Though Young, wait, they see 9! No! This is not a tier 3 match. You don't do that. How?
Fidelum just got back into mech as well.
How?
Bro. This is painful. This might actually be Dronamora Dempsey. I know you're a few minutes behind.
Look, the bomb too!
Yeah, the bomb. I think that was after the point was lost, but this
Still
has the potential to be a very heavy draw.
I'm angry, Acronator.
We have Infected in chat cheering on Strider. I guess they work out together, as the meme goes. So either way, I think it was Strider who even sent Infected home last round, I believe. So.
Oh, you're right. I was there. It was gruesome.
You're right. You were there with Captain Jack, who I believe is also he's also in Twitch chat.
Yeah, Captain Jack's beautiful, man.
Either way.
Oh my goodness.
G-Force's chance. They are on match point. They take a singular tick. They do what Gaia failed to last round. And they walk away. No more maps. We get to go home. Either way, this is something's gonna come of this. Either a draw or a win. Right? So Gaia very much wants that draw, which is gonna be painful. Because even if they draw it, they gotta win 2 more maps after that to take it. And that's such a hard thing to do. You've been playing for almost 3 hours at this point, and you still need to draw this and then play and win 2 more. That's so difficult to get your head in the game for that. That's so hard to do.
I just feel also that was a big kind of moment to show that they are not in their right mindset. They're now just gonna have to beat at the same thing, whether this will be 6 Qs or just 2 fights. It seems like it'll just be 1, as we immediately see Strider go in. Astro takes a lot of damage and Supply goes down dangerously low. Doom same with as that moment, but it looks like they're able to kind of trade back. Pink goes down. That's not a good sign. Magic Ball is dangerously low. His ultimate's also getting picked out while we see that dive goes out, but this is looking in favor of G-Force. There's not too much. Pummy's able to find out Haven. Their Wrecking Ball is going to be the last person to truly have that contest. As there's the baby. No! Not again! G-Force win like this!
No, that wasn't the C9. That was a beautiful boop from Magic Meatball
But
to
how?
get
You
to
don't
get Astro Nexus off the point. That was incredible. But
a
don't tell me.
two.
Don't tell me this is the Bob 3K.
No,
No, it
it's
isn't.
not.
Okay.
It's from earlier. But I can't believe it,
Oh.
folks.
Oh.
Gaia. They don't bring it back. I can't believe another series. G-Force.
Honestly, though, if you're a guy, you can't be too sad about it. Like,
Oh, you
losing
can't
like
cry.
that, it's a great performance. Their run through the upper bracket was incredible. And this game, they played it so close. Obviously, there were mistakes that need to
Oh
get
my.
cleaned up if they want to hit contenders trials the next time Open Division happens, which I don't know whether it's gonna happen. Probably early next year. So in a couple of months. But I mean, darn man, like that you got to feel for Gaia. They played really well, and they they get second place, which is a great performance in the grand scheme of the tournament. But I'm sure
Yeah.
they would have loved to get first place. Either way, though, G-Force are the champions of the Overwatch All-Star Brawl.
And I'm pretty sure they gotta feel great. That's a momentum that you need to be bringing into the future at least. And look at the bright side. It's not gonna be draw of Mora. So, Dumsy, I hope you tweet out that you're just not a smart person.
Dumsy.
Yeah.
Oh dear. The
And
rivalry
look,
continues. And
always. But this is the
segue-
moment where we get to bring everyone in. No, we're not going to a break acronator. We don't do breaks.
No.
here.
I was gonna say stick with us while we bring in G-Force. They're gonna be muted for a minute while we get everyone in, but we're
Yeah.
sticking right here. No breaks. We just go through.
And remember, vote for your MVP right now, because after the quick interview, after the moment that players get to talk and get to shout themselves out, give themselves some love after that intense series, we will be giving the MVP. So please stay tuned for that, because, well, you have the opportunity to switch the votes. It's kind of in a tied series. It's kind of more swaying ways. Who do you feel is going to be having that moment? I don't know, Mr. Acri, but man, I just gotta say, the moment I saw that C9 onto the point, that's where I said, Gaia, they're tired. They're tired, man. They need to go to bed. There's just nothing that they can do. But, Mr. Acri, we do have the entirety of the winner, G-Force, bringing it in. I'd like you guys to unmute yourselves, and how does it feel? Because you are Star Esports champion for this season.
Let's go!
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I haven't won this tournament yet, I think. Just played it a lot, actually.
To be honest,
And always lose.
in winners finals, we weren't really trying that hard, so we decided to try today, which is why we
Alright.
saw a different result.
We didn't want to
But
give away
I
our
wasn't
stats to
actually.
Gaia.
You wanted to make everything more interesting, of course.
Yep,
Yeah.
I definitely see that. So, honestly, I want to get your guys' opinion going into this match. Gaia had defeated you relatively about 2 weeks ago before you guys managed to send your counterparts, to the lower ground. So, how does it feel getting not only that revenge, but the championship title in it?
Pretty good.
Yeah, we knew it was coming.
Felt pretty bad to lose. We were kind of expecting to win. I mean, I imagine they were expecting to win too, though. But so we both were disappointed in losing. Would have been, I think.
All right. Well, in particular, even thinking of this series, you guys had a pretty dominant first two maps, right? You won pretty well, but then you went down two maps. What was the team mentality like? How did you kind of bring it back after?
We knew that the maps we lost we could have won, and even after last match we knew at the end we started to pick up our tempo, and we were very confident coming into today, so we just kept it up.
I think it really was just playing confident. I think in the first two matches we were able to make quick engages and go really fast, but the nerves started getting to us after we got two in a row.
That's your job.
So I guess to kind of add on to that, how do you kind of mentally reset after stepping off the gas, kind of losing that confidence? How do you bring it back, especially in such a high stakes series?
We make fun of anyhow.
He's just the punching bag.
Yeah.
Actually, I think Lee Mu Young did flame Magic Meatball. It wasn't after
Oh,
King's
yeah,
Row,
that
yeah.
did happen.
That may have happened. So
No, I respect it.
He really kept us on our toes.
Yeah.
So I do have one more question for you guys, and then we have the viewers MVP to announce. So, excuse me. in particular, Gaia seemed to be like one of the only other teams that played Wrecking Ball as much as you guys. So did that play any like major factor into how you wanted to approach this game, compositionally speaking, or were you just kind of like playing your own game and they could just do whatever and it didn't matter?
We suck
play
at
our own
Wrecking Ball. Like, we actually kind of suck at like playing into Wrecking Ball, ironically.
It's true.
So-
We have a lot more practice playing into stuff like Brawl. But we
Yeah.
just played to our strengths. I think we're definitely stronger suited in the Tracer Stomper comp. When we were on the
Yeah.
Ash and the Hanzo, things were much rockier.
Yeah, and they tried to avoid it, so we expected them to mirror the Summer Tracer throughout the whole series, but they started pulling out weird things that we had
Wish
to
they'd
adapt.
mirror us Brawl, because we're probably better at Brawl v Brawl than we are Ball v Ball. Somehow. They're too scared, though, to pick Li Zhang.
Well, I mean, you brought it out at the very end, so that's all that matters.
Yeah. Now, before I hit you guys with the MVP, you know, I just want to let you know that it was an impressive series going all around, and I gotta just say you know, I'll have one more question afterwards. But either way, Strider, I want to give you the benefits as you are going to be the last MVP when it comes to this series, and how does that feel? Because that really is going to be my last question, Strider. You know, you are the main tank of the team. Obviously, there are a lot of jokes within the community. You know, you're better than Infected. You know, you're a Wrecking Ball 1 trick and such. But how does it feel working with this team and, you know, being able to lead?
It feels fantastic. I mean, honestly, I love all these players on my team. I shouldn't say my team, but we are the hamster team, the G-Force, and it's been so much fun playing with them.
Oh, that's very wholesome. I want you all to have a moment. You know, you can give whatever shout-outs, you can give whatever teasers or whatever you guys have for the futures or new rebrandings or whatever. So have this moment to yourselves to just yell at the Twitch chat.
I hope you guys weren't planning to win the Defiant tournament as well.
Ooh,
Ooh.
some spiciness. I'm actually running that one, so that'll be
I
fun.
don't think it's
watching you guys.
spicy. I think we just win.
We
You're
just
just better.
Everyone
I
else
don't
is
really
banned.
think there's anyone very good.
now that we can actually scrim Gaia, I think we should just win. We'll get good scrims now.
I don't know
Yeah.
why they were saying decisive after the first game when it's just weird.
Yeah.
Luck-based game. AT lost
wait.
once.
I do have one last question. You know, how impactful were the coaches at least for these matches, or was this just all player mindset type of stuff?
I feel like Static kind of really told us to actually be confident and go in more. We were playing really passive before, and I don't know. He kind of said that, and we were kind of trying to be more confident in this series, you know.
Yeah, especially after King Zero, he noticed that we were talking a lot less and things were down. So that's less about the game knowledge and what he brought outside of the game.
Mm. Well, that's very good to hear. If you don't have any last minute shout outs, then you guys are free to go enjoy your victory.
Can I give a shout out?
Oh,
Yeah.
of course you can. This is your moment.
All right, can I give a big shout out to Captain Jack? I love that guy.
I love him
Always
too.
supporting us. That's it.
Shout out my mom. She got mad I didn't shout her out for LAN 2 years ago. So shout out mom and dad.
I want to shout out Limu Young for coming in as a sub mid-tournament for Madero. That was really big.
Oh man, a lot of wholesome shout outs. But you're basically free to go, and I really hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening or night, wherever you are.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Doing edibles. Bye.
Oh no. I think we work in a kind of more minor community, so you know, that aside, Mr. Acronero, I gotta say, that was an amazing series.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's always kind of boring and disappointing to see like a complete stomp, right? 4-0. I've seen plenty of grand finals like that in my time. So seeing something that goes to map 6, it's been phenomenal to watch this.
Yeah, I definitely would say I have to agree. I feel almost honored to be able to see G-Force kind of bring it in. And at least I will definitely be paying more attention to their team than I have been before. there is a lot of potential on their side, especially because they talked about playing into the Toronto's kind of own tournament, which would be absolutely phenomenal when that pops up. But Mr. Acri, do you have any last minute things that you want to say before I take us out of here and Lau refuse to finally rest?
Um, normally I don't, but I think this time is a little bit special, so I will. So I'm going to be taking a step back from casting as a whole and focusing more on like behind the scenes stuff, behind the camera. So I've been completely honored to participate in casting this tournament, especially casting with you, Intel, casting the grand finals, casting these great teams, and it's been a really fun 9-ish months that I've been casting on a more serious level. So I hope to see you all in other tournaments because I'm going to be helping TO a lot of other tier 3 things, hopefully in the near future, including the upcoming Toronto thing. So it's been an honor, folks, and I'll still be here just behind the camera as opposed to in front of it.
I give respect, Acri. We don't give a lot of love to our production side sometimes, especially, the casters are the ones who are getting that lot of love, but the side of the producing and especially helping the tournament organizing go around, though you guys may be a little papega, you definitely do your best. And I've got to say, I'm very excited to see how you continue going forward and how especially Star Esports will move forward because the All-Star Brawl is still far from over, unless this is the last one. Don't count me on it.
That
Or
one's
don't
unrefused. He gets to
Yeah.
decide.
He's your Thanos, your god of that moment. But still, I want to thank everybody, especially from the production side, for staying tuned in. It's been an absolute blast, not only casting, but seeing everything go in, seeing what teams thrive, and it'll be even better to see which teams move forward out, not only in the Toronto things, but in other tournaments. If you enjoyed what you saw, I do recommend hitting that little heart, hit that bell. Though it may be the end of the season, you can always do a little bit of the sub. It is a bit cheaper, and it does show Refuse that you want more of it. And, well, that means that we'll get right back to it whenever the opportunity arrives. You can check out the Twitter as well, which is in the summary, so you can kind of keep up to date to make sure what's going on, when the next tourney as well. Just make fun of Dumsy on Twitter, as I'd like to do on the average daily. But either way, my name is username_Intel. This is Mr. Acronator of League Zero, and we want to thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time on All-Star Brawl.